In the shadows of history, hidden beneath layers of time, there are discoveries that challenge everything we thought we knew. Ancient artifacts, buried cities, and cryptic symbols, each one a silent witness to a forgotten past, defying the conventional timeline of our civilization. What if the truth of human history is far older, far more complex than we've been led to believe? From lost technologies to enigmatic relics, the world is full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. So, sit back, relax, and let's journey through 20 of the rarest discoveries that rewrite our understanding of time itself. In the shadows of history, hidden beneath layers of time, there are discoveries that challenge everything we thought we knew. Ancient artifacts, buried cities, and cryptic symbols, each one a silent witness to a forgotten past, defying the conventional timeline of our civilization. What if the truth of human history is far older, far more complex than we've been led to believe? From lost technologies to enigmatic relics, the world is full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. So, sit back, relax, and let's journey through 20 of the rarest discoveries that rewrite our understanding of time itself. In the shadows of history, hidden beneath layers of time, there are discoveries that challenge everything we thought we knew. Ancient artifacts, buried cities, and cryptic symbols, each one a silent witness to a forgotten past, defying the conventional timeline of our civilization. What if the truth of human history is far older, far more complex than we've been led to believe? From lost technologies to enigmatic relics, the world is full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. So, sit back, relax, and let's journey through 20 of the rarest discoveries that rewrite our understanding of time itself. As we journey deeper into the realms of ancient history, we move from the carved stone faces of Sayburç to the remote desert landscapes of Nubia, where another astonishing mystery awaits: the stone circles of Nabta Playa. Located in the southern Egyptian desert, near the border with Sudan, this enigmatic site lies hidden from the world's eyes, its secrets buried beneath the arid sands, only gradually revealed through the passage of time. Nabta Playa is, at first glance, an unassuming plain. A vast, barren stretch of land, punctuated by a scattering of large, weathered stones. But beneath this quiet exterior, a fascinating network of ancient constructions lies waiting to be explored. The stone circles of Nabta Playa, some of the earliest known megalithic structures in the world, date back to around 5000 BC, predating Stonehenge by over a millennium. But unlike other stone circles found across the globe, these structures are not simply geometric arrangements for ceremonial purposes. They are far more complex, and their true purpose remains one of the most perplexing riddles in archaeology. At the center of the site lies a massive stone circle, its standing stones arranged in a precise, deliberate manner, resembling something that would later be seen in the megalithic structures of Europe. Surrounding this central formation are other smaller circles and a series of alignments that point toward the rising and setting positions of the stars and sun. These features, while intriguing, are only the beginning. As excavations continue, the discovery of subsurface features, underground chambers, and stone alignments has only deepened the mystery. What were the ancient people of this desert landscape trying to achieve with such intricate constructions? Unlike many ancient stone circles, which were often used for rituals or astronomical observations, Nabta Playa seems to suggest something far more advanced. Archaeologists believe the site could have served as an astronomical calendar, allowing the people to track the movements of the stars, the sun, and the moon, helping them understand the cyclical nature of time. The most famous feature of the site is a group of stones that align with the summer solstice, a clear indicator that the people here were intimately connected with the cosmos. But what sets Nabta Playa apart from other similar structures is the presence of subterranean features that defy conventional understanding. Recent archaeological investigations have uncovered not only stone alignments, but also structures buried deep beneath the surface, an underground network of carefully placed stones and chambers, seemingly designed with an intent that remains unclear. The intricacy and purpose of these subsurface features suggest a level of sophistication that challenges the traditional understanding of prehistoric cultures in the region. Some have proposed that these underground structures could have been used for storage or as part of a ritualistic practice, but the precise nature of their purpose remains elusive. Could they have been part of a larger, more complex system of knowledge, something akin to an early form of sacred geometry or an astronomical observatory? The positioning of the stones beneath the earth raises questions. Was there something hidden, something far more profound that was meant to be understood only by a select few? Or perhaps the underground stones were meant to amplify the power of the structures above, creating a kind of energetic network, an idea that some fringe theorists have speculated upon, though it remains unproven. As we consider the question of who built these structures, we must also confront the mystery of how they achieved such feats of engineering. The people of Nabta Playa were not an isolated tribe, but part of a larger network of ancient cultures spread across the Nile Valley and beyond. Yet, while this site shares similarities with other megalithic constructions from later periods, there is something distinctly unique about Nabta Playa. The fact that these stone circles predate the rise of Egyptian civilization by thousands of years raises questions about the knowledge these ancient peoples might have possessed. Could they have had access to astronomical or mathematical knowledge that was far ahead of its time? Or were these early settlers of the desert simply tapping into ancient, forgotten wisdom passed down over generations? The materials used to construct the site, large sandstone blocks, were sourced from miles away, suggesting a well-organized society capable of transporting heavy stones across difficult terrain. The precision with which the stones were arranged also points to advanced planning, possibly even knowledge of celestial mechanics. Some of the stones, like those found at the center of the site, align so perfectly with the cardinal directions that it suggests a deep understanding of geography, astronomy, and the heavens above. As researchers continue to uncover new evidence from Nabta Playa, more questions arise. What role did the stars and planets play in the lives of the people who built this site? Was it purely a functional calendar, or did it serve a deeper, more spiritual purpose? Some have speculated that it could have been a center for religious practices, perhaps associated with fertility rites, death, or the worship of celestial bodies. Others suggest it may have been a place of pilgrimage, a sacred site where people traveled to honor the gods and to align themselves with the cosmic order. But there are also theories that push the boundaries of mainstream archaeology. Some fringe theorists have suggested that Nabta Playa could be the remnants of an ancient civilization far older than previously thought, one that predates not only Egypt but even Mesopotamia. They propose that the site could be evidence of a lost civilization, perhaps one that was capable of mastering advanced technology, or even one that had a direct connection to extraterrestrial beings. Though such ideas remain speculative, they speak to the allure and mystique of the site, suggesting that Nabta Playa might hold secrets that are still beyond our understanding. At present, the true purpose of Nabta Playa remains elusive. While the stone circles and subsurface features offer tantalizing clues, they have not yet provided a clear answer to the puzzle. Were these stones a primitive form of observatory, a religious site, or perhaps something else entirely? A tool for harnessing knowledge that was lost to time? As we continue our exploration, one thing is certain. Nabta Playa is a place of extraordinary significance, a place where ancient knowledge was preserved in stone, hidden beneath the sands, waiting for us to uncover its secrets. But as we stand at the threshold of discovery, we are left to wonder how much more lies buried beneath the earth, waiting to be revealed. And what could these ancient people have known that we have yet to grasp? The answers, perhaps, lie just beneath the surface. From the vast deserts of Nubia to the enigmatic stone circles of Nabta Playa, we have uncovered ancient mysteries that stretch the boundaries of our understanding. But as we continue our journey through time, we come across another discovery that seems almost too strange, too puzzling to be explained in the context of the official timeline. Nestled deep within the heart of France, near the banks of the Loire River, lies the Roche-Cotard Mask, an artifact that raises more questions than answers. The mask, a delicate yet eerily expressive piece of ancient art, was discovered in 1880 in a limestone cave near the small village of La Roche-Cotard in the Loire Valley. Carved from the bone of a mammoth, this object is thought to date back to the Upper Paleolithic period, around 25,000 BC. At first glance, the mask's shape is unmistakable. It resembles the human face, but there is something uncanny about it. The elongated features, the exaggerated cheekbones, and the deeply hollow eyes, everything about this artifact seems to stretch the boundaries between human and animal, living and dead. What makes the La Roche-Cotard mask even more intriguing is its level of craftsmanship. The details are remarkable for its time. Smooth contours that suggest a profound understanding of form and depth, coupled with a refinement that is unexpected for such an ancient object. And yet, this mask does not fit neatly into the known artistic traditions of the Upper Paleolithic. It is unlike the simpler carvings and cave paintings typically associated with this era. Could this be a rare, isolated example of early human artistry, or is there something deeper at play here? The mask's features have been the subject of much speculation. Some scholars believe it was intended as a ritual object, perhaps used in a ceremonial context, designed to mimic the faces of gods, spirits, or ancestors. The exaggerated features may have been symbolic of power, divine favor, or a connection to a supernatural realm. Its hollow eyes could signify a connection to the spiritual world, or perhaps the ability to see beyond the physical world into the realm of the dead. There are even those who suggest it could have served as a mask worn during initiation rites or religious ceremonies, meant to alter the wearer's identity and invoke transformation. But the theories do not stop there. The fact that the La Roche-Cotard mask is carved from mammoth bone is in itself a clue that challenges our assumptions about ancient cultures. The mammoth, now extinct, was a key part of life for many Ice Age peoples, providing not only meat and hide, but also bones that could be shaped into tools and objects of cultural significance. But could the use of mammoth bone in the creation of this mask also hint at a deeper symbolism? Some researchers have proposed that the mask was crafted by a group of people who revered the mammoth as a sacred animal, one that held a special place in their cosmology. Was it possible that the mask was meant to serve as a tribute or a ritualistic offering to the spirit of the mammoth, representing a connection between humans and the animal world, the living and the dead? Other theories suggest that the La Roche-Cotard mask may have been part of a broader cultural tradition, one that we have yet to fully understand. The use of masks in ancient cultures is well documented, from the Egyptian funerary masks to the elaborate face coverings of indigenous peoples across the globe. Could this object have been part of a larger network of mask-making practices, one that stretched far beyond Europe? What if the mask was not merely an isolated artifact, but rather a link between distant cultures, exchanging ideas and practices through a network of ancient trade routes or migration paths? Perhaps the most unsettling aspect of the La Roche-Cotard mask is not its form, but the ambiguity of its purpose. Unlike other objects from the Paleolithic period, whose uses can be roughly deduced through their functional nature, tools, weapons, food vessels, this mask defies simple classification. It is not a tool, nor a weapon, nor a mere artistic object. It is something more. Some have even speculated that it was intended as a kind of cultural artifact, a physical representation of a particular worldview or religious belief that no longer exists, lost to time in the fading memory of humanity. As we step back to consider the broader implications of the mask, we are forced to confront a more unsettling possibility. Could it be that this object, this haunting representation of a face, was created by a people who saw the world through an entirely different lens? A people whose understanding of the human experience was far more complex than we give them credit for? The Roche-Cotard Mask may represent not just a face from the distant past, but a window into the minds of those who lived tens of thousands of years ago, whose beliefs and practices remain as mysterious to us as the stars in the sky. There is also the tantalizing possibility that the mask was not just a product of the Paleolithic people of Europe, but rather evidence of a lost civilization, a group of ancient people whose practices and knowledge have vanished from the historical record. The use of mammoth bone and the intricate details of the mask suggest a level of sophistication that could hint at a more advanced society than is typically attributed to the people of the Ice Age. Could the Roche-Cotard Mask be the last remaining trace of a forgotten culture, one that has left no other mark upon the world? Or is it simply an isolated artifact, a singular expression of artistry and belief that stands alone in the annals of prehistory? The truth remains elusive. While many scholars have speculated on the meaning and purpose of the Roche-Cotard Mask, no definitive answers have been found. It is a haunting reminder that, for all our advances in archaeology and anthropology, there are still mysteries that refuse to yield their secrets. The mask, with its hollow eyes and enigmatic form, continues to stare into the darkness of time, asking questions that may never be fully answered. As we move forward in our exploration of ancient discoveries that defy the official timeline, we are reminded that the past is never as clear-cut as we might wish. The Roche-Cotard Mask, like so many other artifacts, exists in a space between history and myth, between known fact and unknown possibility. Its true meaning may never be known, but the questions it raises about the nature of ancient humanity, belief, and artistry will continue to intrigue and mystify us for years to come. What secrets, we wonder, are still waiting to be uncovered, hidden in the shadows of time? As we continue our journey through the ancient world, each discovery beckons us deeper into the hidden corridors of time. From the haunting face of the Roche-Cotard Mask to the mysterious stone circles of Nabta Playa, we have seen how objects, whether sculptures, tools, or relics, have the power to reshape our understanding of early human culture. But there are still places where history is more elusive, and the artifacts themselves offer only cryptic glimpses into forgotten rituals and beliefs. One such discovery lies in the heart of Hungary, where a series of clay masks, some of the oldest and most enigmatic of their kind, have been unearthed at Bodrogkeresztúr, a site that raises questions about ancient cultures, their practices, and their connections to the wider world. Bodrogkeresztúr is a relatively small village in northeastern Hungary, nestled along the Bodrog River. Yet it is here, in the quiet soil of this region, that archaeologists have uncovered an astonishing array of clay masks dating back to the Bronze Age, around 3,000 to 4,000 years ago. These masks, fragile yet distinct, are among the most important artifacts of the period. They offer a striking contrast to the more familiar weapons, pottery, and tools typically associated with this era. Their unusual appearance, often human-like, with exaggerated facial features and large, staring eyes, immediately sets them apart from other forms of ancient art. The masks, which are thought to have been crafted from local clay, are remarkably well preserved, despite their age. Some are full-face coverings, while others are smaller, fragmentary pieces. Their expressions are haunting, serene, yet uncomfortably intense, reflecting a profound sense of symbolism. Unlike many ancient artifacts, these masks are not merely decorative or functional. Their design suggests a deeply ritualistic purpose. But what were these masks meant to represent? And why were they buried, often in graves or ceremonial deposits, rather than being used in daily life? Archaeologists believe that the Bodrogkeresztúr masks were likely part of a larger cultural practice, possibly linked to religious or funerary rituals. Some suggest that they were worn during ceremonies, perhaps as representations of gods or spirits used to communicate with the supernatural. The exaggerated facial features, especially the large eyes, could be symbolic of a heightened awareness or vision, an ability to see beyond the material world into the realm of the dead or the divine. It is possible that the masks were worn during rituals of transition, marking the passage between life and death, or to invoke the presence of ancestors or gods. Yet, as with many ancient discoveries, the true meaning of the Bodrogkeresztúr masks remains elusive. While their ceremonial use seems likely, the specifics of those rituals are a matter of speculation. What was the nature of the religious or spiritual beliefs held by the people who created these masks? Were they part of a larger religious system that spanned across Europe, or were they specific to this region? And what role did these masks play in the lives of the people who created them? Were they personal objects, passed down through generations, or were they used in larger communal rituals, perhaps even by the ruling elites or priestly classes? One of the most compelling aspects of the Bodrogkeresztúr masks is the mystery surrounding their symbolism. Some researchers have pointed out the connection between the masks and other ancient representations of the human face found throughout Europe, suggesting a shared cultural or religious tradition. These masks, with their exaggerated features, could be seen as part of a broader trend in Bronze Age Europe, one that involved the depiction of the human face in highly stylized forms. But the exact meaning of these representations remains unclear. Were the faces meant to represent specific deities, ancestors, or mythical creatures? Or were they purely symbolic, embodying abstract concepts such as death, transformation, or divine protection? There are also those who believe that the masks were not meant for human wear at all, but rather were created as offerings or representations to be placed in tombs or sacred spaces. This theory suggests that the masks were not intended to be seen by the living, but by the spirits of the dead. The idea that these masks were symbolic representations of the deceased, or perhaps vessels for the spirits of ancestors, adds an extra layer of mystery to the discovery. But beyond the mainstream theories lies a darker, more speculative interpretation. The masks might be evidence of an ancient practice that involves the manipulation of the human form, perhaps even the transformation of the wearer into something otherworldly. Some fringe theorists have suggested that these masks could be tied to shamanistic practices, where the wearer might assume the identity of a spirit or deity, channeling their power to mediate between the human and spiritual realms. In this view, the masks are not merely symbols but tools of spiritual transformation, enabling the wearer to transcend their earthly identity and commune with higher powers. As fascinating as these theories are, they do not provide definitive answers. Like so many ancient artifacts, the Bodrogkeresztúr masks leave us with more questions than conclusions. Were they part of a complex religious system that we will never fully understand? Or were they simply part of a local, personal tradition that held great meaning for the people who made and used them? Did these masks carry with them a power that went beyond mere symbolism? Or were they simply objects of art, created for ritual purposes and buried away as if to keep them from the gaze of history? The mystery of the Bodrogkeresztúr masks is further compounded by the fact that we know so little about the people who created them. The masks come from a period in history when Europe was experiencing significant cultural change with the rise of complex societies and the development of new technologies. Yet, despite the sophistication of these societies, much about their spiritual and cultural lives remains a mystery. The masks, with their haunting expressions and deep symbolism, seem to suggest a culture that was in tune with the spiritual world in ways that are difficult for us to comprehend today. As we stand before these ancient faces, we are reminded that history is not always linear and that there are still vast swaths of human experience that remain hidden from view. The Bodrogkeresztúr masks, like so many other ancient artifacts, are a testament to the complexity and richness of human culture, and yet they also represent a mystery that refuses to be fully understood. What were these masks meant to convey? What secrets do they hold? And why have they been hidden in the earth for millennia, waiting for us to uncover them? The answers may never be fully known, but the search for understanding continues. What other pieces of the puzzle remain scattered across the earth, waiting to be found? And how many more ancient masks, like those from Bodrogkeresztúr, might still be out there, holding the key to secrets that have been lost to time? The mystery remains, and it is one that calls us to dig deeper, to look closer, and to wonder what lies just beyond the veil of history. As we journey further into the depths of history, we encounter a discovery that straddles the line between fact and myth, between what we know and what we can only imagine. Deep within the jungles of Ecuador, hidden in the remote Andean foothills, lies one of the most perplexing and controversial sites ever uncovered: the Cueva de los Tallos, or the Cave of the Tallos. This ancient cavern, long shrouded in mystery, has been the subject of numerous expeditions, folklore, and even conspiracy theories. Among the treasures hidden within its dark, silent depths, one particular set of objects stands out: the stone artifacts that have baffled researchers for decades. The Cueva de los Tallos is not an ordinary cave. It stretches over several kilometers, with intricate passageways, caverns, and chambers, some of which are believed to be man-made. For centuries, locals have whispered about its secrets, with stories of lost civilizations, hidden treasures, and mysterious ancient technologies. The cave gained international attention in the 1970s when a group of explorers, led by a British scientist named Stan Hall, ventured deep into the cave and discovered a series of stone objects that, in many ways, seemed far out of place for the time and people associated with them. The stone artifacts themselves are undeniably strange. Unlike the simple tools and objects typically found in archaeological digs from ancient times, the items discovered in the Cueva de los Tallos appear far more sophisticated. Some of the objects are shaped like tablets or slabs, engraved with mysterious symbols, while others resemble large, intricately carved stones, with geometric patterns that defy easy interpretation. Their workmanship suggests an advanced level of knowledge, one that seems inconsistent with the known technological capabilities of the indigenous cultures of the region during the time the objects are thought to have been created. What makes these stone objects even more intriguing is their context. The cave, located at an altitude of around 1,200 meters, is situated in an area that was historically inhabited by the Shuar people, an indigenous group with a rich cultural heritage. However, the objects found in the cave are not linked to any known traditions of the Shuar or other local tribes. Instead, they appear to be remnants of a civilization far older and potentially far more advanced, perhaps from a time long before the arrival of European explorers, or even before the rise of other ancient civilizations in the Americas. The objects in question are typically described as large stone slabs or tablets, engraved with symbols that resemble writing, but no one has yet been able to fully decipher their meaning. The engravings are unlike any known script from pre-Columbian America, leaving researchers to wonder whether they represent a form of writing that has been lost to time. Could this be evidence of a forgotten civilization that existed thousands of years ago? One whose knowledge and language were so advanced that they could communicate across vast distances, leaving behind these enigmatic stone records? Some scholars have speculated that the objects are connected to the ancient civilizations of the Andes, such as the Incas, whose advanced knowledge of astronomy, engineering, and agriculture continues to fascinate modern archaeologists. But there is a problem with this theory. The artifacts discovered in Cueva de los Tallos seem to predate the Inca civilization by several millennia, suggesting that they could be the work of an even older culture, one that left no written records and whose existence has been obscured by the ravages of time. Another theory proposes that the stone objects could be remnants of a lost, advanced civilization that existed long before the Incas, one with knowledge that was potentially influenced by contact with other ancient cultures, possibly even from across the oceans. This idea has been fueled by the presence of the stone tablets in the cave, which bear a resemblance to ancient writing systems from other parts of the world, such as those in Egypt, Mesopotamia, and even ancient China. Some fringe theorists have suggested that these objects might even be evidence of extraterrestrial contact, though such theories remain highly speculative. Yet, the mainstream archaeological community remains cautious. While the stone objects are undeniably strange, there is no definitive proof that they are anything more than artifacts created by local indigenous groups long ago, possibly as part of a ritual or ceremonial practice. The idea that these objects represent an ancient civilization far more advanced than the ones we are familiar with is, for many researchers, an alluring but unproven hypothesis. And despite decades of research and exploration, no conclusive evidence has been found to fully support any of the more extraordinary theories. In recent years, new expeditions have ventured into the Cueva de los Tallos, hoping to uncover more clues about the stone objects and their origins. Yet, despite the best efforts of modern archaeologists and explorers, much of the cave remains inaccessible, with deep chambers that are difficult to navigate, and dark corners where the secrets of the past may still lie hidden. Some have even questioned whether the cave itself is part of a larger, undiscovered network of tunnels and chambers, possibly stretching deep beneath the earth, concealing even more ancient artifacts and records that have yet to be uncovered. Perhaps what makes the Cueva de los Tallos so fascinating is not just the objects found within it, but the larger questions they raise. What other lost knowledge or forgotten histories might lie buried beneath the surface of the earth, hidden in the caves and jungles of the world, waiting for someone to discover them? Could there be civilizations, long since erased from history, whose achievements and wisdom were so advanced that they have been lost to time? And, more tantalizing still, might some of these ancient civilizations have left behind clues scattered across the earth that could reshape our understanding of human history? The mystery of the Cueva de los Tallos and its stone objects continues to intrigue those who seek answers to the great questions of the past. As we look deeper into the shadows of the cave, we are left to wonder, are we truly uncovering the secrets of a forgotten civilization, or are we simply scratching the surface of a much greater mystery, one that may never fully reveal itself? The answers, it seems, may be hidden in the depths, waiting for the right moment to emerge. As we continue our exploration of the rarest and most enigmatic ancient discoveries, we move from the mysterious caves of Ecuador to a mass grave in Eastern Europe, a site that is as chilling as it is puzzling. Located near the small town of Koszyce in southern Poland, this mass grave offers a haunting glimpse into the violence and tumult of an ancient world, a world where the line between history and mystery is often blurred. In 2003, while construction work was underway near the town, workers stumbled upon something that would eventually draw the attention of archaeologists from around the globe. Beneath the soil, a mass grave was uncovered, an eerie and unsettling discovery. What was most striking about this find was not only the number of bodies, but the manner in which they were arranged. The site revealed the skeletal remains of at least 10 individuals, some of whom had been buried with their hands bound, their bodies showing signs of violent trauma. What was this mass grave, and what had happened to these individuals so long ago? The Koszyce mass grave dates back to the early 3rd century BC, a time when the region was home to various Celtic tribes. The skeletal remains suggest that these individuals were not simply victims of a natural disaster, but rather had met a violent, ritualistic end. Some of the bodies show signs of trauma to the skull, while others appear to have been stabbed or bludgeoned. The arrangement of the bodies, particularly the way some were positioned with their hands bound, points to a highly organized and deliberate burial practice, one that suggests a purpose beyond mere death or burial. But what could this purpose have been? At first glance, the discovery of the Koszyce mass grave might seem like a simple case of an ancient burial site, a reminder of a time when violent conflict was common and death was a part of life in every society. Yet, there are elements of this discovery that do not easily fit within the mainstream understanding of ancient burial practices. The position of the bodies, the bound hands, and the signs of violent death all suggest something much more complex. Could this be the site of a ritual execution or even a mass sacrifice? Or perhaps these people were victims of a tribal conflict, caught in the crossfire of a power struggle between rival groups. Some researchers believe that the mass grave is the result of a ritualistic sacrifice, a practice common among many ancient cultures. The Celts, known for their complex belief systems and their reverence for the supernatural, often performed human sacrifices in order to appease their gods or to ensure the success of their endeavors. Could the individuals in the Koszyce grave have been chosen for such a fate, sacrificed to the gods in a ceremonial act of devotion? If so, what were the specific rituals involved, and how were these individuals selected? Others have proposed a more violent explanation, that the individuals buried in the Koszyce grave were the victims of a tribal conflict or a raid. The signs of trauma and the bound hands could suggest that these people were prisoners of war or slaves who had been executed as part of a brutal conquest or retaliation. The Celts, like many ancient peoples, were not strangers to conflict, and the possibility that this mass grave represents a grim chapter in their history cannot be ruled out. However, there are elements of the Koszyce mass grave that suggest the possibility of something even more intriguing. Some researchers have pointed out the presence of strange artifacts in and around the grave, artifacts that do not fit easily within the expected cultural framework of the Celts. Items such as bone tools, pottery, and even jewelry have been found at the site, suggesting that the people buried here may have come from a different, possibly older culture, one that had connections to the Celts but was distinct in its own right. Could this mass grave be the result of a much older, perhaps even pre-Celtic ritual or cultural practice? The discovery of such items raises questions about the cultural and social dynamics of the time. Was the Koszyce grave a site of cultural exchange, where people from different regions and cultures were brought together in a single shared ritual? Or was it a result of a cultural clash, where different groups fought for dominance in the region? What could these strange artifacts tell us about the world in which these individuals lived, and about the rituals, beliefs, and practices that shaped their lives and deaths? The mystery deepens when we consider the age of the Koszyce mass grave. Dating back to the early 3rd century BC, the site predates many of the known historical events of the time, including the rise of the Roman Empire and the establishment of large, centralized kingdoms. Could this mass grave represent a time when the world was still in flux, when smaller, independent tribal groups were constantly at war with one another? Or could it point to something more ancient still, a time when the Celts, or even older peoples, held sway over this part of Europe, leaving behind a trail of death and mystery in their wake? In the absence of written records, much of what happened in the world of ancient Europe remains speculative. The Celts, like many other ancient peoples, left behind few written records of their own, relying instead on oral traditions and stories passed down through the generations. What we know of their culture, beliefs, and practices is pieced together from archaeological finds, written accounts from outsiders, and the remains of their settlements and graves. Yet, even with this wealth of information, the mystery of the Koszyce mass grave remains unsolved. Was this mass grave a symbol of a ritual sacrifice, a result of a violent conflict, or something else entirely? And why were these people buried in such a way, with their hands bound and their bodies showing signs of violent death? What cultural or spiritual beliefs led to such a grisly end? As we delve deeper into the past, we are confronted with more questions than answers. The Koszyce mass grave offers a powerful reminder of the complexity and darkness that often accompanies human history. It challenges our assumptions about ancient cultures and leaves us wondering how much we truly understand about the lives and deaths of those who came before us. And like so many other ancient mysteries, it beckons us to look closer, to question, and to wonder what else remains hidden beneath the surface of history. As our journey through ancient discoveries continues, we move from the unsettling Koszyce mass grave to another curious and enigmatic object, one that seems to embody both the wisdom and mystery of an ancient culture. Nestled in the heart of the Vučedol culture, a Bronze Age society that flourished around 3000 BC in what is now Croatia, lies a discovery that is as captivating as it is cryptic: the Vučedol calendar vessel. The vessel, uncovered in 1975 at the Vučedol archaeological site near the Danube River, is not merely a piece of pottery. It is an artifact that challenges our understanding of ancient people's knowledge of time and astronomy. The object itself is a small, intricately decorated pot, but it is the markings on its surface that have sparked intense debate and speculation among archaeologists and historians. These markings, believed to represent some form of a calendar or timekeeping system, suggest that the Vučedol people had a level of sophistication and astronomical understanding far ahead of their time. At first glance, the vessel appears to be a typical example of Bronze Age pottery, simple in shape and adorned with geometric patterns. However, upon closer inspection, the markings on the vessel become strikingly significant. The surface of the pot is covered with a series of carefully incised lines, circles, and other symbols. Some researchers believe that these symbols represent a system of counting days, months, or even years, potentially marking the passage of time in a way that mirrors what we would later see in more complex calendrical systems across the world. What makes this vessel particularly remarkable is its potential connection to the heavens. The symbols on the pot have been interpreted by some as representations of the lunar cycle, with marks possibly corresponding to the phases of the moon. This would suggest that the Vučedol people not only understood the passage of time, but also had an intricate knowledge of the natural world around them, using celestial events to structure their lives in a way that was far more advanced than previously assumed. Were they tracking the lunar cycle for agricultural purposes, or could the markings represent something more, perhaps a religious or ceremonial significance? As we delve deeper into the potential meanings of these markings, it becomes evident that the Vučedol calendar vessel challenges our understanding of the early Bronze Age. The level of sophistication implied by the calendar system is surprising, considering that the Vučedol culture was not part of the more famous, centralized civilizations that we typically associate with advanced astronomy, such as the Egyptians or the Sumerians. Instead, the Vučedol people were part of a regional culture that existed on the fringes of early European civilization, long before the rise of the great empires of antiquity. Some researchers have gone so far as to suggest that the Vučedol calendar vessel may represent one of the earliest known attempts to create a unified system for measuring and recording time, a system that could have had far-reaching implications for the development of later cultures and their understanding of the cosmos. Could it be that this small, unassuming pot holds the key to a broader, forgotten tradition of timekeeping and celestial observation that predates the more famous examples from ancient history? But even as we acknowledge the possible significance of the Vučedol calendar vessel, we are faced with the reality that much of its meaning remains shrouded in mystery. While some have proposed that the vessel's markings represent a lunar calendar, others have suggested that the symbols could relate to other aspects of the natural world, perhaps the cycles of the seasons or the movements of other celestial bodies. There is even speculation that the markings may be purely symbolic, representing a form of abstract thought rather than a functional timekeeping system. Without a written record to explain the vessel's true purpose, we are left to interpret the markings based on our own assumptions, which only adds to the mystery. Furthermore, the potential use of the vessel as a calendar raises even more questions. How was this system used in practice by the Vučedol people? Was it a tool for everyday life, or was it reserved for ritualistic or ceremonial purposes? Did the people who created the vessel use it to track the passage of time in order to coordinate agricultural activities, such as planting and harvesting? Or could it have been part of a more mystical or religious tradition, a way of aligning the human experience with the rhythms of the universe? The idea that this small, intricate vessel could have played a central role in the spiritual and cultural life of the Vučedol people adds another layer of intrigue to an already enigmatic artifact. What we do know is that the Vučedol culture was highly advanced for its time. The people of Vučedol were skilled in metallurgy, pottery, and agriculture, and they had an intricate understanding of the natural world. The Vučedol calendar vessel, with its precise markings and potential connection to lunar cycles, fits into a larger picture of a culture that was deeply attuned to the movements of the earth and the heavens. But what else might they have known that we have yet to uncover? Some fringe theories go even further, suggesting that the Vučedol people, like other ancient cultures, could have had contact with lost civilizations or even extraterrestrial beings. While these ideas are speculative and not widely accepted by mainstream scholars, they speak to the allure and mystery of the vessel. Could it be that the advanced knowledge displayed in the markings on the Vučedol calendar vessel was not entirely of this world, but rather the product of a forgotten, advanced civilization that existed long before the rise of the great empires of Europe? For now, the true purpose of the Vučedol calendar vessel remains a mystery. Its markings, while suggestive of a complex understanding of time and the cosmos, cannot be definitively interpreted without further evidence. And so, we are left with more questions than answers. Did the Vučedol people have a deeper, more advanced understanding of the universe than we give them credit for? Or was this vessel merely a reflection of the human need to impose order on the natural world, a need that stretches back to the very beginnings of our species? The Vučedol calendar vessel, like so many other ancient artifacts, offers a tantalizing glimpse into the past, a window into the minds of people whose lives were intimately connected with the natural world. But, as with all mysteries, it is the questions that remain unanswered that continue to haunt us, leaving us to wonder what other secrets lie buried in the earth, waiting to be uncovered. After journeying through the complex and often cryptic landscapes of ancient timekeeping and celestial mapping, we now find ourselves drawn to a peculiar object. One that, despite its age and simplicity, raises profound questions about the civilizations that shaped the world long before recorded history. Hidden in the quiet countryside of western France, near the town of Plouharnel in Brittany, lies a slab of stone that has quietly defied modern understanding, the St. Bélec slab. An enigmatic relic from the Bronze Age, this large stone carving is not just a piece of ancient art, but a possible testament to a lost civilization whose knowledge and history may remain beyond our grasp. The St. Bélec slab is an impressive sight, standing at about 2 meters long and just over 1 meter wide. It is made of local granite, weathered by centuries of exposure but still capable of revealing its mysteries. Discovered in 1900 by French archaeologist François Thomas, the slab has been the subject of intense study ever since. Its most remarkable feature lies in the intricacy of the carvings etched into its surface, which bear a striking resemblance to a map, a geographical layout of some kind. This alone raises numerous questions. What does this map depict? What culture created it, and for what purpose? And, perhaps most intriguing of all, why has it remained so poorly understood for so long? The carvings themselves are composed of a series of lines, geometric shapes, and symbols that seem to form a complex network of connections. Some researchers have argued that these markings represent a form of ancient road map, while others believe the slab might depict a ritualistic or religious layout, a sacred landscape of some sort. The layout is divided into sections that appear to represent different geographical features, such as rivers, valleys, and settlements, arranged with an almost cartographic precision. The fact that these features are so clearly marked suggests a sophisticated understanding of the land, one that goes beyond the practical needs of everyday life. What makes the St. Bélec slab so mystifying, however, is the fact that it predates known cartographic traditions by millennia. This discovery would imply that the people who created the slab had developed a form of geographic understanding far earlier than traditionally thought. In fact, many historians and archaeologists believe the slab may date back to the late Bronze Age, around 1700 BC, a time when written records and advanced map-making were, for all intents and purposes, unknown in Europe. Some scholars have compared the St. Bélec slab to other ancient megalithic structures found in the region, such as the Karnak stones, a vast alignment of standing stones that have puzzled archaeologists for centuries. Both sets of artifacts suggest that the people of ancient Brittany had a deep knowledge of their environment, knowledge that was likely passed down through oral traditions, rituals, and sacred practices. But unlike the more enigmatic and symbolic structures at Karnak, the St. Bélec slab presents a level of detail that appears to serve a more practical, if still mysterious, function. Could this be a map of the region, carved with such precision to guide travelers, military leaders, or priests on their journeys? There are several competing theories about the purpose of the slab. One of the most widely accepted explanations is that the St. Bélec slab represents an early attempt at creating a map of the surrounding landscape, possibly as a means of navigating the complex terrain or organizing settlements in the region. Some researchers have proposed that the slab is a depiction of a network of pathways, rivers, and settlements that were important to the people who lived in the area. If true, this would suggest a sophisticated level of urban planning and territorial organization, and perhaps even the existence of an early civilization that was far more advanced than we often give credit for. However, others suggest a more symbolic interpretation of the slab. The intricate designs could represent a religious or spiritual map, one that symbolizes the relationship between the physical world and the supernatural realm. Perhaps the slab was used in rituals, marking sacred locations or guiding the movement of people during religious ceremonies. If the markings on the slab are symbolic rather than practical, they could represent a cosmological view of the world, a map of sacred geography, where physical features like rivers and hills held spiritual significance. One of the most intriguing aspects of the St. Bélec slab is its striking resemblance to other megalithic sites across Europe, particularly in Ireland and Britain. The similarities between the St. Bélec slab and these other sites, both in terms of design and astronomical alignments, have led some researchers to propose that the people who created it were part of a larger cultural network that spanned much of Western Europe. This idea challenges the traditional notion that ancient cultures were isolated from one another, suggesting instead that there may have been a broader exchange of ideas and knowledge that transcended geographical boundaries. Yet, while these theories are compelling, they remain speculative. The lack of direct evidence linking the St. Bélec slab to any known civilization or culture from the time period only adds to its allure and mystery. Was the slab created by the Celts, who are known to have inhabited the region centuries later? Or does it predate their arrival, hinting at an even older, forgotten culture that once thrived in Brittany and its surrounding regions? Could the St. Bélec slab be evidence of a lost civilization, one that existed long before the rise of the Celts, and whose knowledge was erased by time? To complicate matters further, some fringe theories have emerged suggesting that the St. Bélec slab might be evidence of advanced knowledge from a civilization that existed even earlier, one that was perhaps linked to the mysterious lost civilizations of antiquity, such as Atlantis. While these ideas remain highly speculative and unsupported by mainstream archaeology, they reflect the deep intrigue the slab continues to inspire. Could it be that the stone is not just a map of the landscape, but a map of something much more profound, perhaps an ancient network of lost knowledge that was passed down through the ages, only to be forgotten over time? Despite extensive studies and research, much of the St. Bélec slab's true meaning remains elusive. What we do know is that it represents an advanced understanding of geography, time, or perhaps the cosmos, an understanding that was far ahead of its time. Whether it was used for practical, ceremonial, or cosmological purposes, the slab stands as a testament to the complexity and depth of human thought in the Bronze Age. The St. Bélec slab, much like other ancient artifacts, challenges us to reconsider the conventional timelines of human history. It beckons us to question our assumptions about the technological capabilities of ancient peoples, and to ask whether there may still be undiscovered connections between ancient cultures that could radically reshape our understanding of the past. What was the true purpose of the St. Bélec slab? And what other ancient relics lie hidden, waiting to reveal their secrets to those brave enough to seek them? As with so many ancient mysteries, the answers may never fully come to light, but the questions they raise will continue to haunt us, beckoning us to look deeper into the shadows of history. As we continue our exploration of the most mysterious and rare ancient discoveries, we now turn our attention to a site in the ancient land of Palestine, a place that has witnessed the ebb and flow of civilizations for millennia. Among the more perplexing discoveries in this region is the Motza Megasite, a location that has left archaeologists with more questions than answers. Stretching across a vast area near Jerusalem, the Motza Megasite holds clues to a civilization that has long since faded into obscurity. Yet despite its age, it has challenged our understanding of ancient urban planning, cultural exchange, and the technological advancements of its time. The Motza Megasite, first excavated in the late 1990s, was initially thought to be a simple settlement from the Chalcolithic period, around 4000 BC. However, as the excavations uncovered more layers of the site, the complexity and scale of the settlement began to reveal itself in ways that defy conventional historical understanding. The site, spread over an area of several hectares, consists of numerous buildings, large storage facilities, and intricate features that suggest the people who lived here had a sophisticated grasp of architecture, agriculture, and social organization. At first glance, the Motza Megasite seems to be a standard Bronze Age settlement. Simple stone structures, pottery fragments, and the usual assortment of tools and weapons. But as archaeologists dug deeper, they discovered something far more intriguing. Beneath the surface, they uncovered large, well-organized storage areas that contained an array of agricultural tools and grain, along with evidence of advanced irrigation techniques that could support a much larger population than previously believed. The presence of large-scale food storage facilities suggests that the people of Motza were not just surviving, but thriving, and engaging in trade or resource management on an impressive scale. Among the most striking finds at the site are the numerous intricate pottery shards and objects that appear to have been traded or crafted with influences from distant lands. Pottery decorated in styles resembling those from Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Anatolia points to the possibility that Motza was a crossroads for trade and cultural exchange. But there's more to the site than simple material wealth. The most puzzling aspect of the Motza Megasite is the layout of the settlement itself. What stands out immediately is the precision with which the structures are arranged. The buildings and storage areas do not appear to have been haphazardly constructed. Instead, the layout suggests an advanced knowledge of urban planning and engineering. Streets and buildings are laid out in a manner that suggests a conscious effort to create an organized, efficient space, something far beyond the capabilities of most early Bronze Age communities. Could the people of Motza have had a knowledge of urban design that was not only ahead of their time, but possibly the result of external influence? Or were they the pioneers of urbanism in the region, creating a model that would later influence the great cities of the ancient world? Even more enigmatic are the large stone structures found at Motza. Some of these have been interpreted as early forms of defensive walls or ritual enclosures, but their true purpose remains unclear. The stones are far larger and more precisely cut than those typically found in settlements of this period. Could these structures have been part of a grand ceremonial complex, or were they built for defensive purposes, protecting the settlement from external threats? There is also the question of who built them. Was it the indigenous population, or could they have been constructed by an outside group with a more advanced knowledge of construction techniques? What makes the Motza Megasite particularly puzzling is its relationship to the larger historical timeline. Most scholars agree that the settlement flourished during the Chalcolithic and early Bronze Age, around 4000 BC to 3500 BC. Yet, evidence suggests that the level of organization and complexity at Motza seems too advanced for this period. While other contemporaneous sites in the region were small, simple villages, Motza appears to have been a thriving urban center with a population large enough to require extensive food storage and intricate social structures. Some researchers have suggested that Motza could be the remnant of an early civilization that was later overshadowed by the rise of the more well-known cultures of the ancient Near East. Could it be that Motza was a precursor to the great urban centers that would later emerge in the region, such as Jericho or Jerusalem? Or, as some fringe theories suggest, might it have been part of a lost civilization whose knowledge and technology were eventually erased by time or conquest? The evidence at the Motza Megasite also suggests that the people living here were deeply connected to their environment in ways that seem to go beyond the simple needs of survival. Large, sophisticated irrigation systems suggest an intimate knowledge of the land and the presence of what might be early forms of industrial-scale food production points to a society that was not only agricultural, but was able to manage and store resources efficiently. This level of organization implies that the people of Motza were not just surviving, they were thriving in a complex social system. Yet, despite the wealth of evidence uncovered at the site, there is no clear answer to the questions surrounding the people who lived here. Who were they, and where did they go? Some archaeologists have proposed that the site was inhabited by early groups who eventually integrated with the emerging Canaanite civilizations that would dominate the region in the centuries to come. Others have pointed to possible connections with the ancient Egyptians, whose influence in the region during the early dynastic period is well documented. Still, the mystery of Motza remains. Why was this site so advanced, and why is there so little historical record of its people? Perhaps one of the most intriguing aspects of the Motza Megasite is its apparent abandonment. After reaching its peak, the settlement was suddenly and mysteriously abandoned, with no clear explanation for its decline. This sudden disappearance has led some to speculate that the people of Motza may have been victims of a catastrophic event, such as a natural disaster, a violent conflict, or even a societal collapse. Others have wondered whether the site's abandonment was linked to a larger historical shift, such as the rise of new powers or the movement of peoples throughout the ancient Near East. The unanswered questions surrounding the Motza Megasite speak to a much larger mystery in ancient history. Was Motza simply a vibrant, advanced settlement that was eventually absorbed into the broader currents of ancient civilization? Or was it part of a more mysterious and forgotten chapter of human history, one that has yet to be fully understood? As we continue to explore these rare and puzzling discoveries, we are left with the haunting possibility that the true story of Motza, like so many other ancient sites, remains locked beneath the earth, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. Could it be that this once thriving settlement still holds secrets that have yet to be uncovered, waiting to challenge our understanding of the ancient world? As we move from the enigmatic landscapes of the Motza Megasite to another fascinating discovery in the heart of Europe, we find ourselves at a site that has long been at the center of ancient mining history, one that holds a mystery buried deep beneath the surface of time. The Hallstatt salt mine, located in the Austrian Alps, is not just an ancient industrial site. It is a repository of secrets that have endured for millennia. Among the more intriguing aspects of this mine are the wooden staircases that were discovered within its depths, staircases that seem to defy our understanding of ancient technology and craftsmanship. The Hallstatt salt mine, which dates back over 3,000 years to around 1200 BC, is known as one of the oldest and most important salt mining operations in Europe. Salt, an invaluable commodity in antiquity, was essential for food preservation and trade. The people of Hallstatt had mastered the art of salt extraction, and the mine was central to their prosperity. But it is not only the mining of salt that makes this site remarkable. It is the stunning preservation of ancient structures and artifacts found deep within the mine, including the wooden staircases that have fascinated archaeologists and historians alike. The staircases themselves are nothing short of remarkable. Constructed from large wooden beams and planks, these staircases were used to navigate the steep and treacherous mine shafts, providing a vital means of access to the salt veins that lay beneath the mountain. But what is most surprising is the state of preservation. Despite being buried under centuries of earth and rock, the wood remains remarkably well preserved, a testament to the advanced craftsmanship and care that went into their construction. How could such fragile material withstand the test of time, especially in a mine environment that is typically harsh and unforgiving? The preservation of the wooden staircases at Hallstatt suggests not only an advanced understanding of construction techniques, but also an impressive degree of environmental adaptation. Wood is not a material one would typically associate with long-term preservation, especially in such a challenging environment. Yet these staircases have endured, their surfaces still smooth and their joints still intact. How is this possible? Some researchers suggest that the unique conditions inside the mine, cool, stable temperatures, and a lack of light and moisture, may have played a crucial role in preserving the wood. But even so, the fact that such delicate structures have survived for over 3 millennia raises more questions than answers. As archaeologists have continued to study the wooden staircases, they have uncovered even more intriguing details. The craftsmanship of the stairs is surprisingly sophisticated for its time. The wood used in their construction appears to have been carefully selected, with joints and beams that suggest a high level of skill in carpentry. The method of construction seems deliberate and designed for both durability and function. This level of skill implies that the people who built these staircases were not only expert miners, but also highly skilled craftsmen, capable of creating complex structures that could endure in an environment where many other materials would have long since rotted away. But what does this tell us about the people of Hallstatt? The discovery of these staircases is an important clue in piecing together the way this ancient society operated. The Hallstatt culture, which spanned from around 800 BC to 500 BC, is known for its advanced metalworking, intricate art, and sophisticated social structure. The presence of such well-constructed wooden staircases suggests that the society was capable of organizing large-scale mining operations that would have required skilled labor, strategic planning, and effective resource management. The Hallstatt people were not just simple miners. They were part of a complex and technologically advanced culture that played a significant role in the trade networks of the time. Yet, even as we acknowledge the skill and sophistication of the Hallstatt miners, we are left to wonder about the true nature of their mining operations. The wooden staircases, as impressive as they are only one part of the larger mystery. What other technologies or techniques did the Hallstatt people use to extract salt from the earth? How did they manage the vast and dangerous tunnels that stretched deep into the mountain? And what drove the need for such an extensive and labor-intensive operation in the first place? Salt was a vital commodity in the ancient world, and its value cannot be overstated. In a time before refrigeration, salt was essential for preserving food, especially meat and fish. It was also used in the production of goods such as soap and in religious rituals. Given its importance, it is not surprising that the Hallstatt people invested significant resources in mining operations. But what is more puzzling is the scale and complexity of their operations. The size of the Hallstatt salt mine suggests that this was no small-scale operation. It was an industrial endeavor, one that may have been the lifeblood of the Hallstatt economy. Yet, despite its significance, the mine has remained largely hidden from mainstream history, its full story still waiting to be uncovered. Some have suggested that the Hallstatt salt mine was part of a larger, more sophisticated trade network that spanned much of Europe, connecting the Hallstatt culture with other ancient civilizations. The trade of salt, along with other valuable commodities such as metal and textiles, would have made Hallstatt an essential player in the ancient economy. Could it be that the wooden staircases were not just functional tools for navigating the mine, but symbols of a larger societal effort to control and regulate the distribution of this precious resource? And if so, what does that say about the nature of power, organization, and social structure in the Hallstatt culture? The mysteries of the Hallstatt salt mine and its wooden staircases do not end with the questions of craftsmanship and trade. The very fact that such ancient, well-preserved structures exist raises broader questions about the preservation of archaeological sites. How is it that some materials, such as the wood used in these staircases, can survive for thousands of years, while other materials, stone for example, can deteriorate and crumble over time? The preservation of organic materials like wood is still not fully understood, and the Hallstatt salt mine offers one of the best examples of how the right conditions can allow such materials to endure. What other secrets might remain buried in the depths of ancient sites, waiting to be uncovered? Moreover, the Hallstatt salt mine serves as a reminder of how much of ancient history remains hidden, preserved in places where few have ventured. The wooden staircases are not just physical structures. They are time capsules, holding within them clues to a way of life that no longer exists, yet whose echoes can still be felt in the modern world. As we continue to unravel the mysteries of this ancient site, we are left with one compelling question. What other secrets lie hidden beneath the earth, waiting to challenge our understanding of the past? The staircases of the Hallstatt salt mine stand as a testament to the ingenuity and resilience of the people who built them. Yet, they are also a reminder of how much remains to be discovered. The story of Hallstatt, like so many ancient cultures, is far from complete. It is a story written in stone, wood, and salt, a story that still holds mysteries that may never be fully understood. And as we dig deeper into the past, we are reminded that the questions we ask today may reveal answers we never expected, offering new insights into the complex civilizations that shaped the world long before written history began. As we leave behind the intricate depths of the Hallstatt salt mine, we find ourselves now in the vast, remote expanse of Argentina's northern Patagonia, standing before one of the most visually striking and enigmatic sites on the planet, the Valle de las Manos. Translated as the Valley of the Hands, this ancient rock art site has captured the imagination of archaeologists and explorers alike for centuries. But what makes the site even more intriguing are the layers upon layers of stenciled hands, not just scattered across the rock faces, but carefully arranged, seemingly marking the passage of time and perhaps a deeper connection between these people and their surroundings. The Valley of the Hands is not just a simple grouping of cave paintings. It is an ancient gallery etched into the cliffside that stretches back at least 9,000 years, though some estimates suggest that the stencils could be even older. The stencils themselves are hauntingly beautiful in their simplicity, silhouettes of hands, with fingers splayed wide, left behind as a form of artistic expression, or perhaps a ritualistic gesture. What immediately strikes you, however, is the way the hands are arranged. Many appear to have been created using a technique where the artist blew pigment around their hand, creating an outline against the rock, a method that, while simple, suggests an intentionality and a connection between the creator and the environment. As you stand before these ghostly impressions, it's difficult not to be struck by their age and their mystery. Some of the hands are small, as if they were the work of children, while others are larger, suggesting that they were created by adults. The pigments used in these stencils were derived from local minerals, ochre, red, yellow, and even black, materials that have held their vibrancy over thousands of years, preserved by the arid climate of the region. But beyond the art, beyond the pigment, there lies a deeper question. Why were these hands placed here, so carefully preserved, for all these centuries? At first glance, one might dismiss the Valle de las Manos as a simple artistic tradition, an expression of the people who once roamed the valley. The most straightforward interpretation is that these hand stencils were a form of communication, perhaps a marker of territory, a way of leaving a signature or a sign of passage through the land. After all, handprints have appeared across cultures worldwide, from ancient cave paintings to modern graffiti. In many instances, they symbolize the presence of the person who left them, a way of saying, "I was here." But as researchers have delved deeper into the layers of stencils, literally and figuratively, they've uncovered something far more complex. The rock faces in the Valle de las Manos contain not just isolated handprints, but overlapping layers of stencils, some of which appear to have been deliberately placed on top of others. These layers suggest a practice of repetition, a ritualistic process that might have spanned generations. The hands, it seems, were not only placed to mark a single point in time, but to create an ongoing relationship with the landscape, a relationship that transcended the individual. Could it be that these hands were a form of communal ritual, an offering to the spirits of the land or to the forces of nature? And what significance did the act of layering these stencils hold for the people who made them? One of the more intriguing aspects of the Valle de las Manos stencils is the apparent connection between the placement of the hands and the landscape. The cliffs themselves, along with the river that runs through the valley, seem to play a role in the arrangement of the stencils. The people who created these works may have seen the natural features around them, rivers, mountains, and caves, as sacred or imbued with spiritual significance. The act of placing their hands upon the rock, seemingly as a form of connection to the land, suggests a deep reverence for the natural world. But it is not just the spiritual or ritualistic interpretations that make the stencils of Valle de las Manos so captivating. Recent studies of the area have also revealed the presence of other symbols and markings alongside the handprints. geometric shapes, lines, and patterns that may hold further clues to the people's beliefs and way of life. Some researchers speculate that these additional symbols could represent a form of early writing or an abstract system of communication, suggesting that the people of the region were far more sophisticated in their cognitive and symbolic thinking than we may have initially assumed. There is also the possibility that these stencils were part of a larger cultural tradition that spanned much of the region, or even the continent. Similar hand stencils have been found in other parts of South America, from the Cueva de las Manos in Argentina to the caves of Brazil and Chile. The recurrence of this motif across such a wide geographical area hints at a shared cultural practice, one that transcended tribal or regional boundaries. Was there an exchange of ideas between these disparate groups of people, or was there something more universal, perhaps a shared spiritual or ritualistic framework, that drove the creation of these hand stencils? Yet, despite the fascinating possibilities, much about the Valle de las Manos remains elusive. How exactly were these stencils made? Was there a specific meaning attached to the different colors of pigment used, or the varying sizes of the hands? Were certain stencils created during specific seasons? Or were they tied to celestial events, like the movement of the stars or the changing of the seasons? Some have speculated that the act of creating these stencils may have been a form of ancestor worship, a way of invoking the spirits of the past or of marking important events in the life of the community. But what is most unsettling is the thought that we may never fully understand the motivations behind these markings. Without written records to guide us, we can only make educated guesses about the significance of the Valle de las Manos stencils. And even as modern technology allows us to analyze the pigments and the rock surfaces with unprecedented precision, the true meaning of these handprints remains just beyond our grasp. There is also the mystery of why these ancient peoples chose to leave their mark in this particular location. What made the cliffs of the Valle de las Manos such a sacred place? Why did they choose to place their hands on these rocks rather than on others nearby? Was there something about this specific spot that made it special? A convergence of natural forces, or a site of particular spiritual significance? The answers to these questions are hidden in the silence of the valley, waiting to be uncovered by those willing to seek them. The stencils in the Valle de las Manos are a haunting reminder of humanity's ancient need to leave a mark, to connect with the world around them in ways that transcend language and time. These hands, pressed against the stone, are not just symbols of human presence, but also a testament to the mysteries that still lie buried in the earth. The layers of stencils, stretching back through millennia, continue to whisper secrets that we may never fully decipher. And as we stand before them, we are left to wonder, what other mysteries remain hidden in the ancient landscapes of our world, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves? As we leave behind the ghostly handprints of Valle de las Manos, we journey now to a place that has left archaeologists and historians just as mystified, albeit for an entirely different reason. In the heart of modern-day Palestine, there lies an artifact that challenges our understanding of ancient technology and innovation. The Must Farm wooden wheel, unearthed from the depths of a Bronze Age settlement, is a discovery that defies our expectations of what ancient people were capable of, and yet it may offer us more questions than answers. The wheel, made of wood and dating back to around 3000 BC, was found near the Must Farm site, which sits on the banks of the river Nahr el-Kalb in the northern part of Palestine. The site itself was a small but thriving settlement during the late Bronze Age, and it is here, buried within the remnants of wooden houses and weaving looms, that this extraordinary artifact was found. The wheel, despite its age, appears to have been remarkably well preserved, perhaps due to the specific conditions of the environment surrounding the settlement. Its discovery is particularly significant because it is one of the earliest known examples of a wooden wheel found in the region, and it is unlike any wheel seen before in other ancient cultures. At first glance, the wheel seems deceptively simple. Made of several wooden spokes radiating outward from a central hub, it closely resembles modern wheels, though it is much larger and constructed from rough-hewn timber rather than the finely crafted metal and composite materials we associate with later wheel technology. Yet, despite its relatively crude appearance, the wheel speaks volumes about the ingenuity of the people who created it. It is, perhaps, one of the earliest indications that these people were experimenting with advanced technologies in ways that were previously thought to have been developed much later. What makes the Must Farm wooden wheel so intriguing is not just its age, but its design. While wheels made from other materials, such as stone or metal, had been used in other parts of the ancient world, wooden wheels of this type are relatively rare in the archaeological record. The fact that the wheel was constructed from wood, a material that is much more susceptible to decay, suggests a level of technological sophistication that challenges our understanding of the capabilities of Bronze Age societies. Could it be that the people of Must Farm had access to knowledge or materials that allowed them to experiment with wheel technology earlier than we previously believed? Adding to the mystery is the location of the wheel itself. Found in a settlement that appears to have been dedicated to trade and industry, the presence of such a wheel raises the question of how it might have been used. Was it part of a larger system of transport, used to move goods along trade routes? Or could it have been a part of an agricultural tool, aiding in the plowing of fields or the harvesting of crops? The sheer size of the wheel suggests it was not for personal use or transportation alone. Its intended function remains unclear, and as of now, no definitive answers have emerged from further excavation or study. Some archaeologists speculate that the wheel may have been used in a form of early carting or chariotry, perhaps in the transportation of goods, or even as a rudimentary form of warfare. Others have proposed that it might have been used as part of a ceremonial or ritualistic practice, possibly symbolizing movement or the passage of time. Could the wheel have held spiritual significance for the people of Must Farm, representing the cycles of life and death or the turning of the seasons? It is not outside the realm of possibility, given the symbolic importance that wheels have held in cultures across the world. But beyond these speculations, one question looms large. Why did this particular wheel survive when so many others from similar periods have not? In the case of the Must Farm wooden wheel, preservation seems to be key. The site itself, a well-established Bronze Age settlement, was buried under layers of earth, perhaps protecting the wheel from the ravages of time. The wood, while fragile by modern standards, may have been sheltered from the elements and protected by the specific environmental conditions of the region: dry, cool, and stable. This discovery begs another question. Why are wooden wheels so rare in ancient archaeology? The wheels are thought to have been invented around 3500 BC in Mesopotamia. The majority of ancient wheels that have survived are made of metal or stone. Wood, being more vulnerable to decay, typically does not withstand the passage of time in the way other materials do. It is curious, then, that the Must Farm wooden wheel has not only survived, but has done so with such clarity. Could it be that, in some way, the preservation of this wheel was a fortunate fluke, a result of the unique conditions at Must Farm? Or is it possible that the people of the time had developed techniques for preserving wood in a way that we have not yet discovered? The implications of this discovery extend beyond just the technology of the wheel itself. If the people of Must Farm had access to the knowledge required to create such a sophisticated object, what else might they have been capable of? What other technologies and tools might have existed at the time that we have yet to uncover? The Must Farm wooden wheel hints at a level of technical understanding that challenges the conventional timeline of human development. Could it be that we have underestimated the capabilities of ancient cultures, overlooking the possibility that they were far more advanced than we give them credit for? Moreover, there is the matter of the cultural context. The people of Must Farm, who lived in a time when bronze was still being worked into tools and weapons, may have been part of a broader cultural network that traded and exchanged ideas across vast distances. If such a network existed, it could have facilitated the spread of technology, including the wheel, long before it became widespread in the ancient world. Was the wooden wheel of Must Farm an isolated invention, or part of a larger technological wave that affected multiple ancient cultures? At this point, the Must Farm wooden wheel remains a tantalizing mystery. While it is a crucial piece in the puzzle of ancient technology, it opens up more questions than it answers. Why was it made, and how was it used? Was it part of a larger system of tools that were similarly advanced, or was it an isolated curiosity? And most importantly, what does this discovery tell us about the true capabilities of the ancient world? Capabilities that may have been far more complex and advanced than we have been led to believe? As we continue to unravel the mysteries of ancient technologies and their place in our shared history, the Must Farm wooden wheel serves as a reminder of how much remains hidden beneath the surface. Its survival, its design, and its purpose all hint at a deeper story, one that we have yet to fully understand. The wheel, like so many other artifacts, is a relic of a time long past, but it is also a key to unlocking the mysteries of a civilization that has long since faded away. What other secrets might lie hidden beneath the earth, waiting for us to find them? As we leave behind the enigmatic wooden wheel of Must Farm, we now turn our attention to another discovery that continues to baffle researchers: the Abydos boat pits. Nestled deep in the heart of Egypt, these pits have long stood as a testament to the enigmatic practices of one of the world's oldest and most fascinating civilizations. Abydos, an ancient city that once served as the religious center for Osiris, the Egyptian god of the afterlife, holds a mystery within its sands, one that has intrigued archaeologists for over a century. The Abydos boat pits were first uncovered in the early 20th century, but their true significance has only begun to unravel in recent decades. Located near the temple of Seti I, one of Egypt's greatest pharaohs, the pits contain a series of large wooden boats, at least 8 in total, that were buried there, seemingly without explanation. These boats, crafted with exceptional skill, are some of the best preserved examples of ancient Egyptian craftsmanship. But it is not just their construction that raises questions. It is their purpose and the reason for their burial that have kept historians and archaeologists guessing. The boats themselves are remarkable. Carved from wood and measuring up to 70 feet in length, they were clearly designed for grand purposes, perhaps ceremonial, perhaps practical. Their construction style, however, defies the conventional understanding of boat building in the period. The attention to detail, the precision with which each piece was crafted, suggests that they were intended for something more than just simple transport. But why would these grand vessels be buried in the desert, in pits beneath the earth, far from any navigable body of water? The answer, it seems, is tied to the burial practices of the ancient Egyptians. The boats were buried with the intention of serving the pharaoh in the afterlife, but it is the scale and the number of boats that raise eyebrows. Pharaohs were often entombed with boats, symbols of their ability to navigate the Nile in the afterlife, but the sheer size and complexity of the Abydos boats suggest something far more significant than a mere ritual. Were these boats meant to symbolize the pharaoh's journey to the afterlife, or did they serve a more specific ritualistic purpose within the realm of the gods? The pit itself is surrounded by intrigue. Some experts suggest that the boats were placed in a ceremonial arrangement to honor Osiris, whose cult was dominant in the region. The connection between the burial of boats and the god of the afterlife may reflect a deeper esoteric belief system that connected the physical journey of death with a symbolic voyage across the Nile of the soul. Yet this explanation does not fully satisfy the more pressing question. Why were there so many boats, And why were they buried so specifically in this location? The boats appear to have been placed in a systematic arrangement, with each pit containing not just a single boat, but multiple vessels of different types and sizes. This leads some researchers to speculate that the boats may have been used in a ritual procession, perhaps part of an elaborate ceremony for the pharaoh that marked their passage into the afterlife. The inclusion of boats of different sizes and designs, some for transport, others more ceremonial, suggests a multifaceted spiritual or religious purpose, one that we may never fully understand. Beyond their religious significance, the boat pits offer us a glimpse into the advanced engineering skills of the ancient Egyptians. The boats themselves were constructed with astonishing craftsmanship, showcasing a deep understanding of materials and design. The Egyptians had mastered the art of boat building long before the Abydos boat pits were created, yet these vessels are unlike any others from the period. They were built with precision, and the materials used, including fine cedar wood, suggest that the boats were considered highly valuable, reserved for a purpose of immense importance. Yet, even as the boats speak to the advanced skills of the Egyptians, they also hint at a deeper mystery. Why were these boats so intricately designed, and why were they specifically buried at Abydos? It is worth considering that the pits themselves may not have been intended for the boats alone. Some have suggested that the boats were part of a larger ritual or mythological framework, one that may have been tied to the belief that the pharaohs would need these boats to traverse the waters of the afterlife. Could the number and diversity of the boats reflect the idea that the soul of the pharaoh would require multiple vessels for different stages of their journey? Another possibility is that the boats represent a more earthly practice, a form of transportation or war machine that was considered so significant that it had to accompany the pharaoh into the next life. Some speculate that the boats may have been part of a larger system of royal iconography, symbols of power and prestige that transcended the living world and entered the realm of the dead. But even as we speculate, we must confront the unanswered questions that continue to surround the Abydos boat pits. Was the burial of these boats truly a religious act, or could it have been part of a more practical need, perhaps related to the function of the tomb or the preservation of the royal legacy? Some have suggested that the boats might have been buried as part of a larger funeral fleet, designed to carry the spirit of the pharaoh on its journey across the afterlife. But why were they buried beneath the sands in a manner so deliberate, so intentional? Even the dating of the boats is a source of uncertainty. While it is generally accepted that they were created during the reign of Seti I in the 13th century BC, some have argued that they could be even older, potentially from the earlier New Kingdom period. The fact that they were placed in pits designed specifically for their burial suggests a purposeful, carefully planned act, an act that may have been repeated over generations, further complicating our understanding of their significance. What is equally perplexing is the fact that the boats appear to have been unused, as though they were never intended for anything beyond their burial. Were these boats a form of symbolic offering to the gods, designed to accompany the pharaoh in death, or were they created as representations of actual functional boats that would have been used during the pharaoh's reign? The answer to this question is elusive, and as with so many ancient artifacts, it may never be fully revealed. As we stand before the Abydos boat pits, it is impossible not to be struck by the weight of the mystery they represent. The boats, preserved for thousands of years, continue to speak to us in a language that is both ancient and unknowable. Their purpose remains a subject of speculation, their meaning hidden beneath the sands of time. Were these boats symbols of the pharaoh's journey into the afterlife, or were they part of a larger, more complex system of royal ritual? As the excavation of the Abydos boat pits continues, we can only hope that the answers will reveal themselves, answers that may help us understand not only the practices of the ancient Egyptians, but also the deeper truths of their belief systems and the ancient world as a whole. For now, The mystery of the Abydos boat pits remains just that, a mystery. But as we continue to uncover the layers of history, we are reminded that sometimes the greatest discoveries lie in the questions we have yet to ask. What other secrets lie hidden beneath the sands of Egypt, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves? Only time will tell. As we step away from the enigmatic boat pits of Abydos, we find ourselves transported to an entirely different world, one that existed thousands of miles away in the heart of ancient Anatolia. Here, amidst the rolling hills of modern-day Turkey, lies one of the most extraordinary archaeological sites ever uncovered, the ancient settlement of Çatalhöyük. This prehistoric city, which dates back to around 7,500 BC, is renowned for its intricately preserved wall reliefs, some of the oldest and most mysterious examples of art and symbolism from the dawn of human civilization. The reliefs of Çatalhöyük are not simply decorative. They are thought to be an essential part of the community's social, religious, and cultural fabric. As you wander through the remnants of this Neolithic city, one is immediately struck by the sheer variety and intricacy of the wall reliefs that cover the surfaces of the dwellings. Some depict animals, wild cattle, vultures, leopards, while others feature abstract shapes, human forms, and geometric patterns. These motifs are not arranged haphazardly. They appear deliberate, almost as though they were part of a larger, hidden language, waiting to be deciphered. Unlike many other archaeological sites, the walls of Çatalhöyük were not merely painted or adorned with carvings. These reliefs were built into the mud brick structures, carefully shaped and molded, perhaps as a way of reinforcing the importance of these symbols to the inhabitants. There is a sense that the act of creating these reliefs was a deeply ritualistic one, a physical manifestation of beliefs that transcended the material world. But what were these reliefs meant to convey? Was this art or something more? And what role did they play in the daily lives of the people who lived here? The first thing that catches the eye is the presence of animals. Many of the reliefs at Çatalhöyük depict the creatures that roamed the land, creatures that the inhabitants would have encountered in their daily lives. Wild boar, aurochs, and stags are all rendered with a sense of dynamism, as though captured mid-motion. These images seem almost like early representations of the hunt, a subject of great importance to a society dependent on hunting and gathering for survival. Could these animal reliefs have been part of a ritualistic practice? Were they created to honor the spirits of the animals, to ensure a successful hunt, or perhaps to represent the power and strength of the creatures themselves? But beyond the depictions of animals, the reliefs of Çatalhöyük also feature more abstract and human-like forms. One of the most striking motifs found in several of the dwellings is that of human figures. These figures are not always represented in the traditional sense. In many instances, the people are shown in highly stylized ways, often with exaggerated features such as large eyes or elongated limbs. Some researchers have speculated that these figures might represent deities or ancestors, suggesting that the people of Çatalhöyük were deeply involved in ancestor worship or animistic beliefs. The size and prominence of these figures also hint at their importance in the ritual life of the community. What is particularly intriguing about the wall reliefs is the possibility that they were part of a larger symbolic system, a kind of visual language that could convey ideas and beliefs in a way that transcended words. The reliefs, with their repetitive patterns and symbolic figures, might have served as a form of communication, a way for the people of Çatalhöyük to share their collective experiences and beliefs. But unlike the written language systems that would develop thousands of years later, these reliefs were not designed to record history in the traditional sense. They seem to convey something deeper, something tied to the very essence of the culture and worldview of the people who created them. At the same time, there is something unsettling about these images. The lack of clear narrative or context leaves us with more questions than answers. Were these reliefs meant to be read together as a cohesive story? Or were they meant to convey different aspects of life, hunting, spiritual beliefs, and social roles, each relief serving a distinct yet interconnected purpose? And why did the people of Çatalhöyük go to such lengths to create these works of art? What was the role of the community in their creation, and how did these symbolic images function in the social and spiritual lives of the people? Another layer of intrigue is added when we consider the layout of the settlement itself. Çatalhöyük was a densely packed city, with no streets or public spaces, and the inhabitants lived in communal houses, entered through holes in the roofs. This architectural layout suggests that the community was tightly knit, perhaps even isolated from the outside world. If these reliefs were meant to be seen only by those who lived within the settlement, then they may have served as a kind of private communication or ritual for the inner circle of the community. Could these images have served as a way of reinforcing social norms or maintaining the cohesion of the group? Was there a hidden meaning behind these representations that was known only to those who lived within the walls of Çatalhöyük? Despite the wealth of information provided by the wall reliefs, the meaning behind many of the motifs remains elusive. One of the most mysterious aspects of these reliefs is their consistency. Many of the symbols are repeated in different contexts, suggesting that they held particular importance for the people of Çatalhöyük. But the precise meaning of these symbols remains unknown. Were the reliefs a form of early writing, encoding messages about the people's beliefs or experiences? Or were they simply decorative, with no greater meaning beyond their aesthetic value? And if they were indeed symbolic, what exactly were they meant to represent? The animal motifs, for example, seem to have a dual purpose. Some scholars believe they were linked to the spiritual or ritual significance of animals, but others argue that they might represent early forms of totemism or shamanic practices. Could the animals be viewed as intermediaries between the human world and the spirit world, mediators in the rituals of the people of Çatalhöyük? Or were they simply symbolic representations of the natural world, intended to evoke power and strength? Similarly, the human figures may represent ancestors or gods, but their exaggerated features suggest that they could also be representations of the self, embodying the ideals or qualities that the people of Çatalhöyük aspired to. Could these figures have represented the ideal form of humanity, one that was larger than life and imbued with spiritual significance? What is certain is that the wall reliefs of Çatalhöyük offer us a glimpse into a world far removed from our own, yet strangely familiar in its symbolism and mystique. They tell us that the people of this ancient city were not just surviving, they were thriving, creating complex systems of thought and meaning that we are only beginning to understand. The reliefs may have served as tools for communication, as spiritual symbols, or as markers of identity. But whatever their purpose, they remind us that the ancient world was full of meaning, richness, and depth, and that there is still much to uncover about how these early people viewed the world and their place within it. As we contemplate these ancient images, we are left with more questions than answers. Why were these symbols so important, and how did they shape the lives of the people of Çatalhöyük? What secrets might the walls of this ancient city still hold? As we continue to explore the mysteries of ancient civilizations, the wall reliefs of Çatalhöyük stand as a testament to the power of art and symbolism to transcend time and connect us with the distant past. Perhaps in the end, the real mystery lies not in understanding their exact meaning, but in realizing that some answers may forever remain beyond our reach. As we leave behind the intricate symbolism of Çatalhöyük, we journey now to the far reaches of ancient Japan, where another discovery has puzzled archaeologists and historians alike. Here, on the rolling plains of the Tohoku region, lies the site of Sannai-Maruyama, a large Jomon period settlement that has provided us with a remarkable array of artifacts, none more mysterious than the lacquered objects that have been carefully preserved for millennia. The Sannai-Maruyama site, dating back to around 3500 BC, is one of the largest and most well-preserved Jomon settlements ever discovered. Situated near modern-day Aomori, it was a thriving community during the early stages of Japan's prehistoric period, known for its advanced pottery, intricate dwellings, and the sophisticated tools and rituals that were part of daily life. But among the many objects uncovered at the site, it is the lacquered items that continue to defy easy explanation. At first glance, these lacquered objects may seem unremarkable. They include bowls, cups, and other vessels, most of which are made from wood, but what sets them apart is the lacquer coating that covers them. The application of lacquer, a technique that involves applying layers of resin to create a hard, glossy surface, was an art form that would not become widespread in other parts of the world until much later in history. In fact, the lacquered objects of Sannai-Maruyama predate similar objects found in other ancient civilizations by several centuries. The lacquer used at Sannai-Maruyama is not just a superficial coating, it is evidence of an advanced and deliberate technique, one that requires both skill and patience. The fact that these objects were so carefully crafted and decorated suggests that they were valued highly, possibly for ceremonial or ritual purposes. But why were these objects created in the first place? And why were they lacquered with such care and attention to detail? Lacquerware in the Jomon period was not simply a functional necessity. It was often adorned with intricate designs, many of which still defy easy interpretation. Some of the lacquered objects from Sannai-Maruyama feature geometric patterns, while others seem to incorporate natural motifs, such as stylized representations of animals and plants. Could these designs have had symbolic meanings? Were they intended to represent the relationship between the people of Sannai-Maruyama and the natural world around them? Or were they connected to spiritual beliefs, as many of the other artifacts from the site seem to be? One of the most striking aspects of the lacquered objects from Sannai-Maruyama is their age. Given that the Jomon period is considered one of the earliest examples of complex human societies in East Asia, the lacquerware found at this site suggests that the people of this region were experimenting with advanced techniques long before similar practices appeared elsewhere. The sophistication of these objects raises important questions about the capabilities of early societies. How did the people of Sannai-Maruyama acquire the knowledge and skills necessary to create such intricate and durable works of art? Were they working independently, or were they influenced by trade or contact with other distant cultures? Interestingly, some researchers have speculated that the lacquered objects from Sannai-Maruyama may represent an early form of trade, a way of exchanging goods and ideas between different regions of ancient Japan. There is evidence to suggest that the Jomon people were engaged in long-distance trade, particularly for materials like obsidian and seashells. Could it be that the lacquered objects were part of this exchange, perhaps as offerings or symbols of prestige, intended to signal the status of the individuals or communities that possessed them? Another theory suggests that the lacquered objects may have had a more ceremonial function. The Jomon people are thought to have had complex spiritual beliefs, with rituals tied to the cycles of nature and the deities that governed the natural world. The lacquerware, with its intricate designs and glossy finishes, may have been used in religious ceremonies or as part of burial rituals. In many ancient cultures, objects that were associated with the gods or the afterlife were often highly decorated and carefully crafted, so it is not outside the realm of possibility that the lacquered vessels served a similar purpose. Yet, as with so many ancient discoveries, there are more questions than answers. Despite the incredible craftsmanship of the lacquered objects, little is known about the broader social and cultural context in which they were created. What role did the lacquerware play in the daily lives of the people at Sannai-Maruyama? Was it something that was reserved for the elite? Or was it something more widespread, used by the community as a whole? And what do these objects tell us about the technological and artistic capabilities of the Jomon people? Some researchers have posited that the lacquered objects of Sannai-Maruyama may have been part of an early form of cultural or artistic expression, a precursor to the more elaborate and ornate lacquerware that would later become a hallmark of East Asian civilizations. The fact that such sophisticated objects were being created at this early stage of human history suggests that the people of Sannai-Maruyama were not only skilled artisans, but also highly creative individuals who were pushing the boundaries of what was possible with the materials available to them. The preservation of these lacquered objects, some of which have survived for over 5,000 years, is another mystery in itself. The process of creating lacquerware is intricate and time-consuming, but it also involves the use of natural resins and plant materials that would typically decay over time. How then were these objects preserved for so long? Was the specific environment at Sannai-Maruyama, the cold, stable conditions of the region, responsible for the preservation of these objects, or were there other factors at play? Could it be that the lacquerware was intentionally preserved for some spiritual or cultural reason, perhaps as a form of offering or as part of a sacred ritual? These questions remain unanswered, and as with so many discoveries from the distant past, the true significance of the lacquered objects from Sannai-Maruyama is likely to remain elusive. The objects themselves continue to speak to us, offering a glimpse into a culture that, while distant in time and place, was not unlike our own in its desire for beauty, functionality, and meaning. What we can say for certain is that these lacquered objects are a testament to the artistry and skill of the Jomon people, who lived in a time when many of the great civilizations of the world had yet to take shape. As we contemplate the lacquered vessels and their mystery, we are reminded of the rich, untold histories that lie buried beneath the surface of our world. What other discoveries, like the lacquered objects of Sannai-Maruyama, remain hidden in the earth, waiting to challenge our understanding of ancient civilizations and their capabilities? Perhaps, like the lacquerware, these mysteries will endure, preserving their secrets for future generations to uncover. As we move further back into the ancient past, we arrive at a region that has long been a crossroads of civilizations, an area where the flow of history is marked by intricate connections between the great empires of the ancient world. In the heart of modern-day Syria, nestled amidst the arid landscapes of the Euphrates River, lies the forgotten city of el-Marra. This site, which was once a thriving hub of power, is home to a discovery that continues to confound archaeologists and historians alike: the royal tombs of el-Marra. El-Marra was first uncovered in the late 20th century, and though it was inhabited as far back as the 3rd millennium BC, it was the discovery of the royal tombs that truly captured the imagination of the archaeological community. These tombs, which are believed to date to the 2nd millennium BC, were found beneath a mound of earth, hidden for thousands of years, waiting to reveal their secrets. When excavations began, archaeologists were stunned by what they found. Elaborate burials, precious artifacts, and the remains of individuals who had been buried with great care and attention to detail. The tombs themselves are both impressive and mysterious. Unlike the simpler burial practices of the surrounding regions, the royal tombs of el-Marra are elaborate and highly ritualistic. The structures are large and carefully constructed, with burial chambers adorned with fine pottery, jewelry, and weapons, objects that seem to indicate the high status of the individuals interred there. Some of the tombs even contain multiple burials, suggesting that they were used for family or dynastic burial, reinforcing the idea that this was a city of considerable importance during its time. One of the most striking aspects of the tombs is the sheer scale of the burial goods. These were not just simple grave offerings, but treasures that likely held great symbolic value. Items such as gold and silver jewelry, carved ivory, and finely crafted pottery suggest that the people of el-Marra were not only wealthy, but highly skilled artisans. Some of the objects found in the tombs appear to be of a quality that would rival the work of civilizations in Egypt, Mesopotamia, or Anatolia. It raises the question, was el-Marra simply a regional power? Or was it part of a larger, more interconnected world of trade and cultural exchange? Yet, despite the richness of the tombs, there are still many unanswered questions. While the artifacts point to the wealth and power of the individuals buried within these tombs, there is little concrete information about the identities of the people themselves. Who were these rulers, and what kind of society did they govern? The absence of clear historical records complicates our understanding of this ancient city. Could the royal tombs be the final resting place of kings, queens, or high-ranking nobles? Or were these individuals more likely to be part of a powerful elite whose influence extended far beyond the walls of their city? Even more intriguing is the manner in which the tombs were constructed. Unlike other royal tombs from the ancient world, such as those found in Egypt or Mesopotamia, the royal tombs of el-Marra do not follow the traditional patterns of monumental architecture. There are no grand pyramids or ziggurats here, no massive stone edifices to mark the resting places of the powerful. Instead, the tombs are built into the earth, often with simple stone or mud brick walls. The lack of monumental markers raises questions about the cultural significance of these burial practices. Were the people of el-Marra less concerned with grandiose displays of power and more focused on the intimate, personal nature of death and the afterlife? Equally enigmatic are the materials found within the tombs. Many of the burial goods are highly specialized, including objects that appear to have been crafted for ritual purposes. Some of the pottery discovered in the tombs is decorated with motifs that seem to depict mythical or religious themes. These symbols suggest that the people of el-Marra may have had complex religious beliefs, though we are still far from fully understanding the nature of their spiritual practices. Were these items meant to honor the gods, to provide protection in the afterlife, or to serve some other function that remains elusive to modern scholars? The tombs of el-Marra also present a paradox. On one hand, they are clearly the burial sites of powerful individuals, likely rulers or important members of society. On the other hand, there is little in the way of written records to confirm the identities of those buried there, or to explain the political structure of the city itself. The site of el-Marra is not mentioned in the historical texts of neighboring civilizations, such as those of Mesopotamia, Egypt, or the Levant. This absence from the historical record is perplexing, considering the wealth of material culture found at the site. Could it be that el-Marra was simply too small, too remote, or too short-lived to leave a lasting mark on the annals of history? Or is there something more to the city's story, something that remains hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered? There are also speculations regarding the relationships between el-Marra and other ancient civilizations in the region. Some researchers have suggested that the city may have been part of a larger network of trade and political alliances that spanned the ancient Near East. The fine craftsmanship of the burial goods, the presence of foreign materials, and the distinct cultural artifacts suggest that the people of el-Marra were not isolated, but rather part of a broader, interconnected world. Did they have trade links with the Sumerians, the Akkadians, or the Hittites? And if so, what role did they play in the complex web of politics and diplomacy that defined the ancient Near East? As with many ancient discoveries, the tombs of el-Marra raise as many questions as they answer. While the burial goods offer a glimpse into the wealth and sophistication of this long-lost society, the true nature of the rulers and their city remains a mystery. Were they an isolated regional power, or were they part of a larger, forgotten history of ancient civilization? What secrets still lie buried beneath the earth, waiting to be discovered? The royal tombs of el-Marra are a reminder that history is not always linear, and the stories we think we know are often incomplete. In the case of el-Marra, it seems that the full story of this ancient city and the people who ruled it has yet to be fully revealed. As researchers continue to study the tombs and the artifacts they contain, one thing is certain: the mysteries of el-Marra are far from solved, and the echoes of its ancient past continue to resonate, inviting us to ask new questions about the world's earliest civilizations. As we transition from the tombs of el-Marra, our journey now takes us to a remote corner of China, where another discovery has quietly reshaped our understanding of ancient civilizations. Deep within the arid northern landscapes of the Loess Plateau, hidden amongst the ruins of the Shimao site, an extraordinary treasure lies buried in the earth. Jade deposits unlike any others ever discovered. The Shimao site, which flourished around 4,000 years ago during the late Neolithic to early Bronze Age, was once a thriving city of great importance. Archaeologists who have explored its vast ruins have uncovered the remnants of a civilization that was advanced in ways not previously attributed to the ancient cultures of northern China. But it is not just the monumental city walls, grand ceremonial platforms, or the large stone sculptures that make Shimao significant. No, it is the discovery of jade that has truly set the site apart, offering a rare glimpse into the spiritual and material culture of the people who lived there. Shimao's jade deposits are unique in that they reveal a deep reverence for the material, one that goes beyond simple craftsmanship. Excavations at the site have uncovered numerous pieces of jade, many of which appear to have been ritually significant, suggesting that jade was not merely a luxury material, but rather a key element in the social and spiritual fabric of Shimao's society. From finely carved jade figurines to elaborate ornaments and ceremonial blades, these objects stand as a testament to the technical skill and spiritual beliefs of the ancient Shimao people. But what is truly remarkable about these jade deposits is not just the quantity of the material, but the sheer scale of the jade production at the site. Unlike other ancient cultures that used jade for personal adornment or small ritual objects, Shimao's artisans were producing large, intricately carved pieces, some of which seem to have held profound symbolic significance. The sheer number of jade artifacts found at the site raises the question: was jade simply a precious material, or did it hold deeper, more sacred meanings for the people of Shimao? Jade in ancient China was considered more than just a symbol of wealth. It was revered as a sacred substance, a material imbued with spiritual power. Many of the jade objects found at Shimao bear intricate designs, some geometric, others more abstract, that seem to suggest they were not just ornamental, but deeply symbolic. Was jade used as a means of communication with the gods? A bridge between the living and the spiritual world? Or was it something even more powerful, a material that could harness cosmic forces and influence the fate of individuals and communities? Some of the most fascinating pieces unearthed at Shimao are large jade discs, often inscribed with symbols whose meanings remain largely enigmatic. These discs, known as bi, have long been associated with ritual and ceremonial practices in Chinese history, though their specific use in the context of Shimao remains unclear. Some scholars believe these discs were used in funerary rituals or as offerings to the gods, perhaps as a way to ensure a successful afterlife or to guarantee the protection of the city. But the abundance of bi discs at Shimao suggests that they may have had an even greater significance, possibly as symbols of political power used by the elite to project authority and control. The presence of jade deposits at Shimao is also intriguing because it suggests that the site was a central hub in the region's trade network. Jade was a rare and highly prized material in ancient China, and it is unlikely that the people of Shimao were the only ones to use it. In fact, jade artifacts from Shimao have been found in other parts of China, indicating that the city may have been part of a broader trade network that spanned the region. But how did the Shimao people acquire such vast quantities of jade, and what role did they play in the trade of this precious material? There are several theories regarding the source of Shimao's jade. Some researchers believe that the jade came from local deposits in the region, while others suggest that the material was imported from more distant areas. The difficulty in obtaining jade, combined with the labor-intensive process of carving and shaping it, suggests that the production of jade artifacts was highly specialized. Was the jade at Shimao a mark of elite status, reserved for the ruling class or religious leaders? Or was it a commodity that was traded across vast distances? The presence of jade in Shimao's royal tombs also raises significant questions about the role of jade in the afterlife. Archaeologists have discovered jade objects buried alongside the remains of individuals in what appear to be high-status tombs, suggesting that jade was believed to have spiritual significance even after death. Were these jade objects intended to protect the deceased in the afterlife, or were they offerings to the gods to ensure a smooth passage into the next world? The idea that jade played a role in the burial rituals of Shimao's elites fits with the broader understanding of jade's importance in ancient Chinese culture, where it was often associated with immortality and divine protection. Despite these fascinating discoveries, much remains unclear about the full significance of the jade deposits at Shimao. While the abundance and variety of jade objects found at the site suggest a highly advanced and intricate system of production, the exact nature of jade's role in Shimao's society is still shrouded in mystery. Was it the exclusive domain of the elite, or was it a material with widespread cultural importance, deeply woven into the daily lives of all who lived there? And what was the true function of the numerous jade symbols and artifacts? Were they purely decorative, or did they serve a deeper, more spiritual purpose? In addition to these questions, there is also the mystery of the people who created these jade artifacts. Who were the artisans of Shimao, and how did they acquire the advanced skills necessary to work with such a challenging material? Did they develop these techniques independently, or were they influenced by other cultures and civilizations? The discovery of jade deposits and finished artifacts at the site suggests a level of craftsmanship that would have been highly specialized, yet there are no definitive records or writings to tell us who these artisans were or where they came from. As we reflect on the jade deposits of Shimao, it is impossible not to wonder how much more remains hidden beneath the surface of the earth. The jade objects discovered so far offer only a glimpse into a culture whose intricacies we have yet to fully uncover. The mystery of Shimao, with its jade treasures and enigmatic symbols, serves as a reminder of the complexities of ancient civilizations, whose achievements and beliefs continue to challenge our understanding of the past. What other secrets might lie waiting, buried beneath the earth, in the shadows of this ancient city? What else remains to be discovered, and what untold stories might we yet learn from the jade that has survived for thousands of years? As we continue our exploration of rare ancient discoveries, our journey now takes us to the lush, mist-covered landscapes of southern Chile, to a site that has redefined our understanding of the earliest human settlements in the Americas. In the remote valleys of Monte Verde, beneath layers of earth and centuries of decay, lie wooden artifacts that challenge the timeline of human migration. These artifacts, some of the oldest of their kind, suggest a presence of humanity in the Americas long before the accepted migration dates, stirring debate and speculation among archaeologists and historians. Monte Verde was first excavated in the late 1970s by a team led by the Chilean archaeologist Tom Dillahay. What they uncovered was nothing short of astonishing. Beneath a thick layer of peat bogs, perfectly preserved organic materials were found. Wooden tools, branches, and even structures that appeared to have been built by human hands. The site has since become one of the most important archaeological discoveries of the 20th century, not only because of the artifacts themselves, but because of what they imply about human history. The artifacts found at Monte Verde are extraordinary in both their condition and their age. Carbon dating of these items suggests that they date back to around 14,500 years ago, an astonishing 1,500 years earlier than the date previously believed to be the earliest human presence in the Americas. This discovery challenges the prevailing theory that humans crossed the Bering Land Bridge from Siberia into Alaska and gradually made their way southward, arriving in the Americas only around 13,000 years ago. If the dating is correct, the implications are profound. Could there have been an earlier wave of human migration, or even multiple migrations from different parts of the world? Were there people already living in the Americas much earlier than we thought? Among the most fascinating items uncovered at Monte Verde are the wooden tools, spades, digging sticks, and even parts of a woven mat, all intricately crafted from local wood and plants. The preservation of such organic materials is a rare gift made possible by the unique environmental conditions of the site. The peat bogs, with their low oxygen levels, effectively sealed the artifacts in a vacuum, preventing decay and allowing these objects to survive thousands of years. The craftsmanship of the tools themselves raises intriguing questions. How did these people, who were living in a time when the continents were not yet fully explored, manage to craft such functional and complex tools? Were they part of a larger, more advanced cultural network? Or was this an isolated community with unique technological innovations? One of the most striking aspects of the Monte Verde site is the discovery of what appears to be evidence of dwellings. A series of post holes and wooden beams suggest that the people who lived there built shelters using local materials. The arrangement of the posts and the evidence of hearths point to a semi-permanent settlement, where families or small groups may have lived for extended periods. What kind of society did these people form? Was it a nomadic group that returned to this site year after year, or were they among the first to establish permanent homes in the Americas? And if they were indeed living in one place for extended periods, how did they interact with the surrounding environment and other groups of people? Interestingly, Monte Verde is not the only site to suggest an earlier presence of humans in the Americas, though it is by far the most significant. Other archaeological findings, from the soft grasslands of the Americas to the icebound tundra of Alaska, have offered tantalizing hints of early human habitation, objects that suggest a culture capable of traversing vast distances, creating intricate tools, and forming lasting settlements. Yet none of these findings have been as well preserved or as thoroughly studied as the artifacts found in Monte Verde. And still, despite the compelling evidence, many questions remain unanswered. For instance, the nature of the people who lived at Monte Verde remains unclear. The artifacts found at the site are distinct in their design, but there are no definitive answers regarding their origins. Could the people of Monte Verde have been related to the Clovis culture, widely regarded as the first true North American civilization, or were they entirely separate? Some researchers have even proposed that they might have been part of a group that arrived via the Pacific coastline, moving south along the coast rather than through the interior. This idea, while still speculative, raises interesting questions about the nature of ancient migration routes and the adaptability of early human societies. Could these people have traveled by sea, using the coastline as a highway, well before we had thought possible? The role of the Monte Verde people within the broader context of human migration is also worth exploring. The site is located in an area that was, during the time of its occupation, far removed from the glacial ice sheets that covered much of North America. This raises a crucial question. Did the people of Monte Verde arrive through a more temperate route, bypassing the ice corridors that were traditionally believed to have been the only way into the Americas? Or could they have been among the first to adapt to life in a changing climate, learning to navigate and survive in a region that was not only vast and untamed, but also ecologically rich. But even as these questions about the origins and lifestyle of the Monte Verde people continue to be explored, there are still elements of the site that resist explanation. The most puzzling of these is the strange arrangement of objects found in the layers of sediment. While many of the artifacts are clearly functional, tools used for hunting, gathering, and survival, others are more enigmatic. Small figurines and objects of unknown use have been found alongside the tools, suggesting that the people of Monte Verde had a cultural and symbolic life that extended beyond mere survival. What was the role of these objects? Were they religious or ceremonial? And why, if these people were among the earliest to settle in the Americas, do we not see a continuation of these practices in later cultures? The mystery of Monte Verde remains unresolved. While the evidence uncovered at the site has forever altered our understanding of early human migration in the Americas, it also raises as many questions as it answers. Who were these people? What drove them to settle in such an isolated, remote location, far from the known centers of civilization? And how did they survive in an environment that must have been both challenging and unfamiliar? As we continue to dig deeper into the past, we are reminded that our understanding of history is always subject to change. Each discovery, whether in the frozen tundra of the north or the dense forests of the south, reveals new layers of complexity that force us to reconsider our assumptions about ancient peoples and their lives. The Monte Verde wooden artifacts, so carefully preserved and so rich with history, stand as a testament to the mysteries that still lie hidden beneath the surface of the earth. And as we ponder these unanswered questions, one thing becomes clear. The story of human migration to the Americas is far from complete, and the past may still hold secrets we have yet to uncover. As we leave behind the ancient remnants of Monte Verde, we journey across the vast stretches of Russia's western plains to a site that, like so many others, offers both clarity and confusion. Here, among the frost and earth, lies Kostyonki, a place that has revealed some of the most extraordinary bone structures ever uncovered. Structures that not only speak of the lives of early humans, but also of their mysterious relationship with the world around them. Kostyonki, located on the banks of the Don River, is part of a larger archaeological landscape in the heart of Russia. This site, a vast Paleolithic settlement, is more than just a location for the bones of ancient humans. It is a record of life from more than 30,000 years ago, when the region was home to early human groups during the Upper Paleolithic period. Excavations here have yielded some truly fascinating artifacts, but it is the bone structures that have truly captured the imagination of archaeologists and historians alike. The most remarkable discovery at Kostyonki is a series of intricate bone structures. These are not just the remains of animals or tools made from bone. Rather, these are entire frameworks, structures, to be precise, that seem to have been intentionally constructed by the people who lived there. In many ways, they resemble a kind of prehistoric architecture, crafted with tools and techniques that suggest a level of planning and communal effort far beyond what we would expect from nomadic hunter-gatherers. The bone structures at Kostyonki are primarily made from the bones of large mammals, including mammoths and other megafauna. The bones appear to have been arranged deliberately, sometimes in a circular or semicircular pattern, suggesting that they were part of larger constructed dwellings or shelters. What is truly astonishing about these structures is the meticulous care with which they were built. The bones were not just discarded. They were selected, shaped, and positioned with intention. In some cases, the bones were even aligned in ways that seemed to hold symbolic or ritual significance, leading to speculation that these structures were not simply utilitarian, but also held spiritual or cultural value. What makes these bone structures so intriguing is their apparent sophistication. These were not hastily constructed shelters meant for short-term use, but rather they appear to have been designed for long-term habitation. perhaps even as semi-permanent residences. Was this an early attempt at architecture? An experiment in creating stable, insulated shelters? Or was it something more complex, a form of shelter that was not just functional, but imbued with meaning? Were the people of Kostyonki creating structures not only for physical survival, but also for social or spiritual purposes? Was there a deeper, symbolic connection between the materials they used and the way they structured their homes? To further add to the mystery, some of these bone structures are clearly larger and more complex than others. Were they built by a specific group within the Kostyonki community, perhaps the elite or the spiritual leaders? Or were they constructed collectively, as part of a communal effort? These questions remain unanswered, yet they push us to consider the possibility that the people of Kostyonki had a more developed social structure than we might have assumed. The idea of hierarchical society, with its division of labor and resources, has long been attributed to more recent civilizations. Could these structures be evidence that such divisions existed much earlier than we thought, deep into the Ice Age? The site of Kostyonki also raises questions about the people who built these bone structures. Who were they? What was their relationship with the environment, and how did they survive in such a harsh landscape, one that was dominated by mammoths, bison, and other large creatures? And what was the role of the bones themselves in their culture and spiritual beliefs? Bone, in many ancient cultures, was not just a practical material, but was often imbued with power, representing the spirits of ancestors, the forces of nature, or even the essence of life itself. Could the bones of the mammoths and other animals have held such meaning for the people of Kostyonki? Were they crafting these structures to honor the spirits of the animals they relied on for survival? Another mystery that surrounds the Kostyonki bone structures is their potential connection to the broader migration patterns of early humans. While Kostyonki is located deep within the Russian steppe, it's important to note that the Upper Paleolithic people who inhabited this region were part of a much larger migratory movement. At the time, human groups were moving across vast areas of the Eurasian continent, gradually adapting to the changing climate and new environments. Did the construction of these bone structures reflect a change in the way these early humans were settling in their environment? Was Kostyonki one of many such sites, and might there be other similar structures yet to be discovered across the vast plains of Russia and beyond? The use of bones as building materials also raises important questions about the relationship between humans and the animals they hunted. In Kostyonki, the remains of mammoths and other large mammals dominate the archaeological record. Was the use of these bones a sign of reverence, or was it a purely pragmatic decision? Mammoths were not just a source of food. Their bones, tusks, and hides provided a wealth of material for early humans to use in crafting tools, clothing, and even dwellings. In a way, these structures could be seen as a tribute to the creatures that sustained them, a way of incorporating the essence of the mammoths into their everyday lives. Was this the beginning of a ritualistic practice that would continue for millennia, with animal bones taking on a sacred or symbolic role in human culture? Some scholars have even speculated that the construction of these bone structures might have been influenced by earlier traditions in other parts of the world. For example, in the more temperate regions of Europe, early humans were known to use animal hides and bones to create shelters, and some have suggested that the people of Kostyonki might have been influenced by these methods. Were these early Siberian inhabitants borrowing ideas from other groups, or were they inventing entirely new ways of living in a challenging environment? The diversity of methods used to create these shelters suggests that the people of Kostyonki were not isolated, but were part of a larger network of early humans who were exchanging ideas, technologies, and survival strategies. As with many discoveries from the distant past, the Kostyonki bone structures continue to raise more questions than answers. What other artifacts, objects, or remains might still lie buried beneath the layers of earth, waiting to be uncovered? Could these structures hold more clues about the social and spiritual lives of the people who built them? And what do these bone structures tell us about the early human experience, about survival, adaptation, and the deep connection between humans and the natural world? The Kostyonki site, with its enigmatic bone structures, provides us with a rare window into the lives of ancient humans, lives that were not simply about survival, but also about meaning, creativity, and connection. The mystery of these ancient bone dwellings remains unresolved, inviting us to imagine a world where early humans were not just enduring the harsh conditions of the Ice Age, but were also shaping their environment in ways that continue to surprise and intrigue us today. What lies beneath the surface of Kostyonki, still waiting to be discovered? And what other stories will this ancient site reveal as we continue our exploration of the distant past? As we venture deeper into the enigmatic past, our next stop takes us to the arid, sun-baked landscapes of northern Kenya. Here, in the shadow of the sprawling deserts and rocky hills, lies a site that has sparked both awe and mystery among archaeologists: the Lothagam North Pillar Site. Situated in the remote foothills of Mount Lothagam, this site is home to a series of monumental stone pillars which stand in stark contrast to the surrounding natural environment, suggesting an extraordinary human presence in a place that, at first glance, appears inhospitable. The pillars themselves are the most striking feature of the site. Standing upright in formations that seem deliberate, they rise from the earth like silent sentinels, arranged in a way that hints at some kind of ancient ritual or communal purpose. The stones vary in size, with some towering as high as 3 meters, and many are crafted from the local sandstone, worn smooth by centuries of wind and weather. What is particularly striking is the precision with which these stones have been placed. Unlike the more organic and utilitarian stone structures found at other ancient sites, these pillars seem to have been positioned with careful intent, an arrangement that raises immediate questions about their purpose and meaning. At first, the Lothagam North Pillar Site was thought to be a relatively recent phenomenon in human history, with some suggesting it could have been constructed by early pastoralist communities in the area. However, upon further excavation and study, it became clear that the pillars were much older than initially believed. Radiocarbon dating of the surrounding materials suggests that the site could date back as far as 4,000 years ago, placing it squarely within the Neolithic period, a time when most of Africa's societies were still in the early stages of developing complex social structures and agricultural practices. Yet, despite the advancements in dating technology, the true origins and purpose of the Lothagam pillars remain unclear. The arrangement of the pillars themselves suggests that they were not simply markers or boundary stones, as one might expect in a pastoralist society. Rather, the formation of the pillars hints at a level of organization and cultural sophistication far beyond what would typically be associated with the societies of this region during this time. The pillars' alignment with specific celestial events, such as the rising and setting of the sun or the solstices, suggests that the people who built them had a deep understanding of astronomy and the natural world. Could this site have served as a kind of ancient observatory, a place for tracking the movements of the heavens and marking important seasonal events? Or was it something more symbolic? Perhaps a ceremonial center designed to align with the cosmic rhythms of the universe. The mystery deepens when we consider the surrounding context of the site. Lothagam is located near the banks of the Ewaso-Ngiro River, a region that would have been both a lifeline and a crossroads for early human populations. In this area, archaeological evidence has uncovered traces of early human settlements, with tools, pottery, and even evidence of ancient trade networks. The presence of such large, carefully constructed pillars in this remote location raises several intriguing questions. Was this site part of a much larger, interconnected network of sacred or ritualistic sites, scattered across the region, connected by early trade or migratory routes? Was there a larger religious or social system at play, one that linked these communities together, fostering shared practices and beliefs that transcended the local? In fact, one of the most fascinating aspects of the Lothagam site is the potential connection to other ancient sites in East Africa. Similar stone pillar structures have been found in other parts of the region, though none have been as intricately aligned or as well preserved as those at Lothagam. Could these distant, scattered pillars all be linked by some shared cultural or religious tradition? Were they part of a larger effort to connect with the gods, the stars, or the forces of nature? Or perhaps these structures were markers of some kind of territoriality or social stratification, used to demarcate the boundaries between different groups or clans. The possibility that the Lothagam pillars are part of a larger cultural landscape suggests that the people who lived here were not isolated, but part of a larger, far-reaching network. Adding to the mystery are the occasional artifacts found at the site. While the pillars themselves dominate the landscape, small but significant objects, pottery shards, tools, and pieces of bone have been discovered nearby. These artifacts suggest that the site was not simply a place for the pillars themselves, but may have also been a gathering place for the people of the region. Was Lothagam a center for ritual feasts, communal gatherings, or even early trade? The presence of pottery and tools hints at everyday life, yet the scale of the stone pillars suggests that these gatherings could have been far from mundane. Were these gatherings related to spiritual practices, agricultural rites, or even the celebration of celestial events? The people who constructed the pillars may have been using the site not only to mark the seasons, but also to reinforce social ties, create shared identities, or solidify power structures. What's particularly intriguing is that the Lothagam site is far from the only one of its kind. Across the African continent, there are numerous examples of ancient stone structures that appear to have astronomical significance. From the ancient megaliths of Nabta Playa in Sudan to the stone circles found in southern Africa, these sites seem to share a common thread, an awareness of the cosmos that transcends mere practicality. Could these early peoples have had a more advanced understanding of the stars, the planets, and their movements than we previously assumed? Or were these structures part of a larger cultural phenomenon that extended well beyond the confines of any one region? In recent years, some researchers have even speculated that the Lothagam site may have been part of a much older tradition, one that connects the builders of the pillars to much earlier human ancestors who had an even more advanced knowledge of the world. Some fringe theories suggest that the Lothagam site might be connected to an ancient, lost civilization, perhaps one that was highly advanced, but has since been forgotten to history. While these ideas remain speculative and largely unsupported by mainstream archaeology, they are a reminder of how little we still know about the earliest chapters of human history. Were these people part of a long-forgotten culture that has been lost to the ravages of time, or were they simply ahead of their time in ways we have yet to fully understand? As we leave the arid plains of northern Kenya and look back at the Lothagam North Pillar site, one thing is certain: the mystery remains far from solved. With its carefully arranged pillars, its celestial alignments, and its tantalizing connection to a larger network of ancient cultures, the site leaves us with more questions than answers. Could Lothagam have been a place of deep spiritual or cosmic significance? Or was it a center for social cohesion, built to reinforce the power of a particular group or community? Whatever its true purpose, the Lothagam North Pillar site stands as a testament to the complexity and ingenuity of early African societies whose stories are still unfolding, waiting to be discovered by those who are willing to look beneath the surface. And as we ponder the meaning of these ancient pillars, we are reminded that history is always in motion. What might still lie hidden beneath the sands, waiting to challenge everything we think we know about our distant past? The Lothagam site, with its enduring mystery, invites us to continue our search ever deeper into the heart of human history. After exploring the monumental pillars of Lothagam, we now find ourselves on the wide, windswept steppes of the southern Urals in Russia, a land that seems almost timeless. The vastness of the landscape stretches out before us, punctuated by the soft undulations of earth that rise up to form an ancient mystery, Arkaim. While Arkaim is often referred to as a fortress city, this enigmatic site has much more to offer than its defensive walls and ceremonial structures. Beneath the surface, hidden from immediate view, lies a remarkable feature that raises profound questions about the people who lived here over 4,000 years ago. It is here, beneath the earth of this prehistoric settlement, that one of the most intriguing discoveries of the Bronze Age was made: a system of subsurface drainage. Arkaim, an archaeological site dating back to the early 2nd millennium BC, is often compared to other ancient cities in the Near East, like Mesopotamia or the Indus Valley, due to its complex layout and the sophistication of its structures. This circular settlement is surrounded by massive defensive walls, and within its boundaries are houses and public buildings, carefully arranged in a manner that suggests both organization and a highly developed social structure. But it is what lies beneath the surface, literally beneath the floors of these ancient buildings, that has captured the attention of researchers and raised more than a few eyebrows. In the early 2000s, excavations at Arkaim revealed a network of underground channels, trenches, and drainage systems that seemed far too advanced for their time. At first glance, these subsurface features might seem mundane, just a practical solution to the problem of water management. However, the more researchers studied the drainage systems, the more they realized that they were not simply functional, they were remarkably sophisticated. The drainage system was so well constructed that it still works today, directing water away from the settlement's buildings and preventing flooding even in the harshest weather conditions. The drainage channels at Arkaim are not just crude ditches dug into the earth as one might expect in a settlement of this era. Instead, the network consists of carefully constructed trenches lined with stone and clay, designed to direct water with precision and efficiency. Some of these channels are complex, winding in intricate patterns around the settlement, suggesting that the people of Arkaim had a deep understanding of hydrology and water flow, knowledge that was not thought to have existed in the Bronze Age. But how could a people living so long ago possess such advanced knowledge? While the mainstream explanation suggests that the people of Arkaim were simply adept at responding to their environment, crafting a practical solution to the flooding issues that plagued the region, some researchers have raised intriguing questions about the origins of this technology. Was it developed independently, based on trial and error, or did these people have access to knowledge passed down from earlier civilizations or external cultures? Some have speculated that the advanced drainage systems at Arkaim could be evidence of a much deeper tradition of water management, one that might have originated much earlier, potentially from an ancient lost civilization whose knowledge was passed down through the ages. The more researchers dig into the site, the more mysterious it becomes. The drainage systems are not the only surprising feature of Arkaim. The city's design itself, its circular layout and the careful alignment of its structures, suggests a level of planning that goes beyond the capabilities of a typical Bronze Age society. Were the people of Arkaim simply ahead of their time, or was there something more to their knowledge of architecture, engineering, and urban planning? Some fringe theories even suggest that the construction of Arkaim could have been influenced by lost traditions or ancient cultures whose technological expertise was far beyond what is typically associated with the Bronze Age. One of the most puzzling aspects of the Arkaim drainage system is its scale and complexity. While many early cities did have some form of drainage, what sets Arkaim apart is the sheer size and precision of its subsurface network. The system extends beneath several buildings and seems to have been deliberately designed to control the flow of water across the settlement, preventing the flooding that could have easily destroyed the city during heavy rains. Such an advanced system of water management suggests a high degree of social organization and technical skill, skills that would not have been common at the time. Could these people have been part of a larger, more technologically advanced culture that has since been lost to history? Another intriguing element is the possibility that the drainage system at Arkaim was not purely practical, but also symbolic. The careful construction of the underground channels may have held a deeper meaning, perhaps tied to religious or cosmological beliefs. In many ancient cultures, water was not only a life-giving force, but also a powerful symbol, representing everything from fertility to purification. The precise control of water, then, might have been seen as a way to harness this powerful force, directing it according to the will of the people or their gods. Was the drainage system at Arkaim simply a practical solution, or could it have been imbued with spiritual significance, a representation of the people's control over the forces of nature? Moreover, the sheer fact that the drainage systems have survived for thousands of years is remarkable in itself. Given the harsh conditions of the region, extreme temperatures, periods of drought, and seasonal flooding, it is nothing short of extraordinary that such an ancient system could have remained intact and functional over the millennia. It raises the question, was Arkaim simply an isolated anomaly, or could there be other, similar ancient settlements with similarly advanced technology buried beneath the earth, waiting to be uncovered? What other secrets might lie hidden beneath the surface, waiting to rewrite our understanding of the ancient world? As we reflect on the mystery of Arkaim and its subsurface drainage systems, we are left with more questions than answers. What does the discovery of this advanced technology tell us about the people of Arkaim? Were they simply ahead of their time, or is there something more to their knowledge and their civilization than we can explain with our current understanding of history? The fact that such an intricate and functional system of drainage was created more than 4,000 years ago challenges our conventional ideas about the development of ancient societies. It is a reminder that, even today, the past holds many secrets, secrets that we may still be a long way from fully understanding. The mystery of Arkaim, with its advanced subsurface drainage and complex urban design, leaves us with an open question. What other ancient discoveries remain hidden beneath the layers of earth and time? As we continue our exploration of the rarest ancient discoveries, it is clear that there is much still to uncover and much yet to be understood. Could these findings ultimately lead us to rewrite the official timeline of human history? Or are we only scratching the surface of a much deeper mystery, one that will continue to intrigue and elude us for generations to come? The answer may still lie beneath the sands of the Urals, waiting for the next discovery to bring it to light. The mystery of Arkaim extends beyond its architectural feats and engineering innovations. Recent studies suggest that the city's inhabitants may have had a profound understanding of astronomy as well. Researchers have pointed to the precise alignment of certain structures within the settlement, which seems to correspond with the movements of celestial bodies. Some scholars believe that Arkaim's circular design may have been symbolic, representing the cyclical nature of time and the cosmos. Could the people of Arkaim have seen their city as a microcosm of the universe, carefully positioned to harness celestial energies and align with the movements of the heavens? The connection between architecture, astronomy, and cosmology might provide yet another layer to this ancient mystery. In addition to its physical features, the cultural and social dynamics of Arkaim remain a subject of intrigue. The organization of the settlement, with its advanced water management systems and well-planned infrastructure, hints at a highly stratified society. The layout of the city suggests a division of labor and perhaps a ruling elite that had the knowledge and resources to oversee such ambitious projects. Were the people of Arkaim part of a larger network of civilizations, sharing knowledge and resources across vast distances? Archaeological evidence suggests trade routes that may have connected Arkaim to other ancient cultures, opening up the possibility of cross-cultural exchange that could have contributed to the sophistication of its drainage systems and urban planning. Finally, the enduring mystery of Arkaim raises questions about the evolution of technology itself. If the people of this ancient settlement possessed such advanced engineering and hydrological knowledge, what happened to that expertise? Did it disappear over time, only to be rediscovered millennia later? Or did it evolve in parallel with the development of other ancient civilizations? The concept of lost knowledge is a recurring theme in human history, and the discovery of Arkaim's drainage systems challenges us to reconsider what we think we know about the pace of technological progress in the ancient world. What if Arkaim was just one of many lost sites that once demonstrated the pinnacle of ancient innovation? As we move from the ancient city of Arkaim, buried beneath the southern Urals, our journey takes us deep into the heart of the Balkan Peninsula, to the rugged landscapes of Bulgaria. Here, nestled within the shadows of the Pirin Mountains, lies a discovery that has challenged everything we know about the Upper Paleolithic era. Bacho, a cave located near the village of the same name, harbors a series of remarkable artifacts buried deep within its Upper Paleolithic layers. Artifacts that may force us to reconsider the very timeline of human history. The cave itself is an unassuming opening in the limestone cliffs, but within its walls, Bacho holds a treasure trove of prehistoric relics. Its upper layers, which date back over 40,000 years, have become a focal point for researchers interested in the development of early human societies in Europe. When the cave was first excavated in the 1970s, it was clear that this site had served as a vital habitat for early humans. However, it wasn't until more recent excavations that the true significance of the site began to emerge, with the discovery of tools, animal remains, and, most intriguingly, an enigmatic set of objects that seemed to push the boundaries of what we thought was possible for the time. In the upper layers of the cave, archaeologists have uncovered a wealth of artifacts made from materials that seem remarkably advanced for their age. Among the most significant of these finds are bone needles, meticulously crafted from animal bones, and a variety of stone tools which show evidence of careful design and deliberate use. These tools suggest that the people who inhabited the cave were not merely surviving, they were adapting to their environment in highly sophisticated ways. But what stands out most is the discovery of what appear to be figurines, small, carved representations of animals and possibly human figures that offer a glimpse into the symbolic world of early humans in Europe. What makes the discovery at Bacho so compelling, however, is the evidence that these artifacts were not only crafted by humans, but also suggest that the inhabitants of the cave possessed an understanding of art, craftsmanship, and perhaps even early forms of spirituality or ritual. The bone needles, for example, suggest that these early humans were not just using tools for basic survival. They were using them to make clothing, suggesting a level of social complexity and forethought. The figurines, in particular, raise the intriguing possibility that these early humans had an aesthetic sense, an appreciation for art, and perhaps even a nascent belief system. But perhaps the most striking aspect of the Bacho site is the potential for rewriting our understanding of human migration patterns. Traditionally, it was believed that the first human migrations into Europe occurred via the eastern route, following the coasts of the Mediterranean and entering Europe from what is now modern-day Turkey. However, the age of the Bacho artifacts, over 40,000 years old, suggests that early humans were already established in the Balkans much earlier than previously thought. Could this mean that human migration into Europe occurred via different routes, or even that humans were more widespread across the continent at a much earlier time than we realize? The presence of these advanced tools and figurines in a cave that predates many other known Upper Paleolithic sites in Europe has prompted researchers to reconsider the timing and spread of early human culture in the region. Some scholars have suggested that the people of Bodrogkeresztúr might have been part of an earlier migration wave, one that preceded the better-known waves of Homo sapiens, who eventually replaced Neanderthals in the region. This opens up the possibility that there were multiple waves of migration, some that we may not yet fully understand, each contributing to the spread of culture and technology across Europe. But there is another, more speculative line of thought surrounding the Bodrogkeresztúr site that deserves consideration. Some researchers have questioned whether the objects found at Bodrogkeresztúr might be evidence of contact with other, more advanced cultures, possibly even those outside of Europe. Could these early humans have been part of a larger, interconnected world, exchanging goods, ideas, and technologies long before we thought possible? The artistry of the figurines and the sophistication of the tools might suggest that these early humans were part of a cultural network that spanned across the continent or beyond. In one of the most fascinating and fringe theories, some have speculated that the symbolic objects found in the upper Paleolithic layers of Bodrogkeresztúr could represent a form of proto-writing or early communication. The intricate carvings on some of the figurines, when examined closely, seem to follow patterns that resemble a rudimentary form of written language. Could the Bodrogkeresztúr inhabitants have been using these carvings not just as representations of animals or human figures, but as a way to communicate? While this idea is certainly speculative, it raises important questions about the cognitive and linguistic abilities of early humans. Could the origins of language be even older than we thought? One of the most perplexing aspects of the Bodrogkeresztúr discoveries is that, despite the advanced tools and symbolic objects found in the cave, no clear evidence exists to indicate the full extent of the social or ritual significance of these artifacts. Did the bone needles have a purely functional role, or were they also used in ceremonial contexts? Were the figurines crafted as part of a ritualistic or religious practice, or did they serve as mere artistic expressions? And what did these objects mean to the people who created them? Without direct evidence of the social or cultural context in which these artifacts were used, we can only speculate on their true significance. As we continue to dig deeper into the past, the mystery of Bodrogkeresztúr only grows. While the site offers valuable insight into the lives of Upper Paleolithic humans, it also raises new questions about the complexity of early human society. Were the people of Bodrogkeresztúr simply more advanced than we realized, or was there something more to their culture that we have yet to uncover? Could their connection to the broader human migration and cultural network of the time be more significant than we imagine? As we move further into the exploration of the rarest ancient discoveries that challenge the official timeline, Bodrogkeresztúr reminds us that even the smallest clues can upend our understanding of the past. What else, we might ask, remains hidden beneath the surface of these ancient sites, waiting to be uncovered? The story of Bodrogkeresztúr is far from finished, and as our understanding of human history continues to evolve, the mysteries of this cave may eventually help us write a new chapter in the story of human development. The discovery of Bodrogkeresztúr also raises important questions about the social dynamics of early human groups. The presence of advanced tools, bone needles, and figurines suggests that the people of the cave were not isolated or primitive, but were likely engaged in complex social behaviors. This could mean that they had developed systems of cooperation and specialization, perhaps even trade, to acquire the materials needed for their intricate craftsmanship. The use of bone needles to make clothing, for example, may not only indicate an adaptation to colder climates, but also a form of social cohesion, as such tasks may have been performed collectively or passed down through generations. Could these early humans have had rudimentary forms of social organization, with leaders or artisans specializing in particular crafts? Furthermore, The evidence from Bodrogkeresztúr challenges our assumptions about the capabilities of early humans in terms of their cognitive and artistic abilities. The figurines, in particular, present a tantalizing glimpse into the symbolic and creative minds of these early people. Were these objects purely decorative, or did they serve a deeper function, perhaps as symbols of fertility, protection, or spiritual belief? The fact that these objects were deliberately crafted suggests that the people of Bodrogkeresztúr may have had an abstract way of thinking, capable of creating representations that were not bound by immediate survival needs. If so, this could indicate a level of intellectual and cultural development that we have only just begun to understand. As the excavation of Bodrogkeresztúr continues, researchers have started to piece together a more comprehensive picture of the cave's significance. The site may hold the key to understanding the transition from basic survival to more complex forms of human existence, as well as the development of symbolic thought. What is especially compelling is the possibility that Bodrogkeresztúr is part of a larger network of prehistoric sites in Europe, each contributing to the evolution of early human society in different ways. Could there be other caves or settlements in the region that also contain evidence of early human art, spirituality, or advanced technology? As we continue to explore these ancient sites, the story of Bodrogkeresztúr may ultimately reshape our understanding of the very origins of human culture.